Hello, friends. Welcome to episode 276 of the Noclip podcast. We're all here, the new crew, as it were. The sole J-Dog. How you doing, Jeremy?
I'm doing excellent. It's spring here, but it feels like summer for the first time in like 5 months.
Good stuff. It's getting warm out there. That's what we like to hear. No caps. Similar thing happening in your neck of the woods, I hear.
Yeah, it's nice and sunny. I got my shorts on.
Oh, shorts. Love it. It's about time. Do you have any 3/4 length shorts? Is that a thing anymore?
Capris.
What is that? A Capri Sun? What's a Capri? I don't work.
Like it goes to your like between your ankles and your knees.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I don't have any of those.
You don't have any of those. Are Capris baggy or are they like tighter? Or can you kind of go
it's
whatever
tough
flavor you want?
because there's cropped pants, which are I would say a slightly longer than a capri. Capris are not really in, but they were in when I was a kid.
Okay. I'm Googling capris here. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I like that look.
Yeah, what's the length differential between a capri and like a white guy in a trailer park 3/4 length short? You know what I'm saying? Like if you got a big pair of capris, could he pull them off?
Yeah, could you just get a real good belt? You know what I mean? Just go XXL.
Hell yeah.
And just belt that shit up. That's eventually going to come into vogue. Is that you're going to just size maxing or something, we'll call it. It'll be a very expensive trend, but we'll get through it somehow. Frank Howley, how many pairs of chinos? No, what are they called? What are those?
Capris?
What were the pants? What'd you say? Chinkos? Is that what they're called? The
They're
shorts?
like the Y2K. They're on like a Grand Theft Auto print advertisement where it's like there's massive, on the bottom.
Yeah, that's it. How many pairs of those do you have?
0. I don't have any.
You don't have any? Okay. All right. Well, that's been... you can tell that No Caps is clearly the expert when it comes to trousers and maybe all fashion on this crew. If you're watching the video version of this I'm wearing a hoodie, but it's from Wisdom, Montana. But it looks like if it says Montana at the bottom, but I just noticed on the camera, it looks like I'm wearing, like I've been playing a lot of I Am Jesus Christ. So it kind of looks like I'm just like a fan of Wisdom. You know what I mean? But that's not really.
You got the merch for Wisdom? That's sick.
Wisdom, yeah. I'm real hot on the Wisdom train. I used to be a knowledge guy, and then I was like, you know what?
I'm a compassion guy, you know? I just get all that compassion merch.
That's pretty good.
No, I got
Wisdom Montana. Sorry, what are you wearing?
I got Wingnut Dishwashers Union. Shout out to anyone who knows that reference. It's an old band.
Frank Howley's got some Gojira action going on there, it looks like. Very cool. We love it. We're all doing our best here to look the part on YouTube, and you're doing our best to fund us. But before we get to Battle Pass holders, quick drop in here to say we have a bunch of games to talk about. Pragmata, Dosa Divas, Subversive Memories, Samson, which I can't wait to hear about, Replaced, and we got some other bits and bobs to talk about as well. But first of all, we are missing half the J crew here, and it's for a very good and positive reasons, because our boy Jesse Garasha went and had himself a boy, or at least his partner did. So welcome to the world, Teddy Garasha. What a name! And I'm assuming he's going with Garasha as a surname, but baby Teddy, welcome to the world. What? Let's do a quick name rating on this one, okay? Because I feel like that's what happens when you have a kid, is you name it and then everyone says, oh, that's a nice name. But like, there's a subversive element going on there where people are like, quietly inside of themselves critiquing the name. How do you feel about Teddy? Jeremy, you go first.
I like Teddy. I wonder if it's short for Theodore. I wonder if maybe there'll be like a serious phase where they're like, I go by Theo now. But I like Teddy. It's cute.
That's nice. Yeah, Theo's not in maybe right now, but I feel like that guy's podcast will probably burn out in the next couple of years.
Oh
But you're
yeah,
right.
I forgot about that guy.
But it's got a sort of a. You're right. There's a couple of different ways you can cut it up. No caps. What do you think, Teddy? You know any Teddies out your way?
I don't, just Teddy Bear, but I think it's a cute name.
It's a cute name. Yeah, I'm into it. Frank, what do you think?
I think it's awesome. I know how much Jesse loves Family Guy, and everyone knows Seth MacFarlane did Ted, so I'm assuming it's a direct reference to Ted.
That's great.
Holy shit!
So I'm very proud of Jesse. Yeah, that's incredible. That's awesome. It's very good.
Maybe Jeremy can help him with his Boston accent then.
Yeah, I can't do it on the spot. It's like I don't actually have a Boston accent. I was talking to my mother on the phone the other day, and she said the word narcolepsy, and she hit it so hard with the Boston accent.
Narcolepsy.
She was like, yeah, I think he's got narcolepsy. And I was like, fuck, that's the best Bostonization of a word I've ever heard in my life.
It's the most is it the word that sounds most Boston when you say it in a Boston accent?
Narcolepsy.
Narcolepsy. Yeah. No, Teddy's that's an S tier name for sure. Very cool. Like you said, very adaptable. And more than anything else, we're just so happy for Jesse and his partner. So yeah. A little bit confused why they didn't go for a J name, I'll be honest. We got a lot of J names. What's a favorite J name, Jeremy? I like Jesus.
Yeah, Jesus would have been a great name for his kid. Yeah.
Jim.
No, I think people say like, oh, that's a name you'll get bullied with if you give your kid a name like Poindexter or whatever. But Jesus, I don't think anyone's gonna bully Jesus.
No one's gonna.
That's a bad look.
No, because the chances are you're not the son of God, but like, you want to roll that dice.
It's like those stories in Greek mythology where there's a wanderer on the road, and he's like, "Will you give me a scrap of bread?" And they're like, I'm not gonna give you a scrap of bread. He's like, "Fuck you, I'm Zeus, actually." You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want to take that risk. If his name was Zeus, you'd be like, holy shit, let's just like let him play kickball with us.
Is that charity though? If like an old crone knocks on your door on a stormy night and asks you for, a piece of bread, are you giving her that piece of bread because you feel bad for her? Or are you just terrified she's going to like turn you into a beast and make it so that you are stuck as a beast if you don't fall in love before the rose petal falls off?
I mean, that's the thing about like mythological morality is like it's you won't get your Christmas presents if you bully your brother, right? You know what I'm saying?
I was only kidding. You don't have to kill your son.
It was just a prank, bro.
It was a prank. There's a goat right behind you.
Old Testament God was sort of like the Paul brothers, if you think about it, because it was just a prank, bro.
Okay, I have played more I Am Jesus Christ, so I need to get that out of the way first of all. And yes, there's a weird amount of Old Testament God in this, considering I think like the Binding of Isaac is literally in one of the like there's like zones where they shoot you up into space and you have to do up into the clouds and everything's covered in gold and looks very Vatican, and you have to looks like that Truth Social post that Trump put out where he was a doctor. And it looks like, you have to do a bunch of puzzles. And one of them was like, it just had the 12 commandments and 12 big pictures up there, and you had to like in sequence hit them. And then another one was like, it was like an object game where there was a bunch of objects in front of you. It was like an apple and a scroll and a, what is it David uses against Goliath? What do you call that
sling?
Thing? A sling, a sling, and then it like transports you like down this path, and you have to like pick up the object and throw it at the like painting kind of thing of it. And one of them was the Binding of Isaac, and you had to throw the dagger up. It's like it's so weird. But yeah, you're reading their stories and going, all right, it's yeah.
It'd be a fun like museum, like children's science museums with like interactable, where you like play with the magnetic balls and they turn into DNA or whatever.
Yeah,
I want to throw
great.
I want to sling the rock at Goliath.
Yeah, and then you could keep. I think actually another popular podcast was talking about this this week, not as popular as us, of course. About David's life after that, where he eventually tries to impregnate his best friend's wife by sending his best friend off into a war to get killed. And then God is like, well, joke's on you. You're going to have a stillborn child. And then he prays every day for the child to not be stillborn, and then it is, and then he's like, God's like, lol. And that's just that, and there's a story in there somewhere. I don't know.
The
It's probably
Bible's
like,
fucking crazy, man.
Wash your hands is probably the story that they're going for, you know?
I gotta read
Anyway.
this Bible. When I was a
Old
kid,
Testament.
neither of my parents were religious when I was growing up, and out of the blue one day, I just like heard about the Bible. 'Cause, you know, there was like a Rugrats episode about like, you know, Passover and whatever. The Old and New Testament were in cultural osmosis, and they seeped into my brain. And one day I asked my parents for a Bible, and they were both like terrified that like someone had converted me. That like some adult, like a teacher, had been like, you should really read the Bible or something. But I thought it was just like fucking weird stories and stuff. I didn't really know what it was.
Yeah, you saw a commercial and they were like the greatest story ever told, and you were like, well, I have to read that.
The marketing worked on me.
Yeah, I thought of Mice and Men was good, but you're telling me this one's better? Like, that's awesome. I've never read Revelations, and I feel like I would get a kick out of that. I feel like that's kind of, you know, Old Testament God is like just a super weird trickster kind of guy, and obviously New Testament God is like sort of doing a lot of like PR. He's trying to like fix some of that, I feel like. But all the Revelation stuff sounds complete batshit.
Is that the Ezekiel stuff? Is that like the wheels within wheels and stuff?
I think it's the I could be wrong, but I think it's the end of days stuff, right? It's
Hell
like
yeah.
the rapture and the lamb comes back, and you know there's like the final days and all that shit.
We should just get like a Christian eschatology scholar on this podcast
Yes.
and just talk for 2 hours and while we listen. And occasionally we interrupt and we go like, oh, that's just like Oblivion. And he's like, yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
and then he resumes.
Oblivion Gates. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, to be continued. We'll have to get on that at some stage. I'm Jesus Christ. I have nothing else to say about it. It's funny to have a whiskey and play that game. I'll say that. It's a real trip. I've unlocked I think 7 of the apostles right now, so it's pretty good.
Collect them
Get
all.
my apostle. Need to get. Hopefully, there's some achievements in this game for getting all the apostles. They're like, oh my god, you caught fish. Yeah, I can catch fish. I got a miracle of fish. You want that water turned into wine? No problem. I got it. Abundance. Here we are.
Is it like a long
anyway, yeah.
game?
Is it a long game?
It sounds like you've been playing it for a while.
It's a big question. I think the question, is it a long game? Does it feel like a long game? I don't think it's a long game. I think I would guess it's like, I don't know, maybe 4 to 6 hours, something like that. It's like a decent sized game.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it's not very well designed. Like at one point you're in this movie. Sorry, I'm talking about this fucking game more. We're gonna have a World of Warcraft section later to balance this out. At one point, you go to the temple in Jerusalem, and you have to smash up the temple, right? And
Classic.
Absolutely, yeah. And actually, it made me kind of feel. It was the first time I felt bad for the traders. Because, like, okay, we're going to smash up the moneylenders. Don't feel too bad about that. Mm-hmm. There's a bunch of people selling birds and animals, and you have to smash up their things, and their sheep are just running around. And I was like, the temple in this game is insanely big. Like, I don't think the temple in Jerusalem was this big. It's like big. It's like twice as big as the Parthenon. It's huge. And I'm like, in the ancient world, and I'm like, this is fucking. So it looks incredible. And then you go in, and there's a bunch of poor people trying to sell stuff on its steps, and then you come in and smash it all up. And I was like, I don't know if this feels more victimizing of poor people than I had originally imagined in my head when I read about this as a kid. Anyway, so the building's fucking huge, and you have to meet one of the apostles. And I just could not find him because like the level design was so bad that I walked out into the streets of Jerusalem and couldn't find a way back in. And I was like, he's like a waypoint, like an Assassin's Creed waypoint on my hood, not even on the map, like on my thing. And I'm like, where the fuck are you, Matthew, or whoever it is? So in that way, it feels long. It's maybe not as long, but like, you're doing a lot of like trying to figure out what the game wants you to do. Like when you're doing the miracle of the fishes, you're trying to get the fishes to go to the boat, which isn't how fishing works. Fishes don't jump into a fucking boat, and they have all these little like wind currents in the way. And forever I was like, and this might have been the whiskey, but forever I was trying to figure out like, am I supposed to go in those currents? Like, are those the nets? They kind of look like nets. No, you have to get the fish to come to the boat. So anyway, you could probably do that in 20 seconds, but it took me like 2 minutes. So anyway, more updates coming. I'll fill you in, no caps on the continuing adventures of
Perfect.
our Lord and Savior Jesus.
I just want to know how it ends. You know, you gotta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just on edge. What happens to this guy?
Me too. Do they stop at the crucifixion? Do they journey into hell with him to forgive original sin? Does he come back on Easter Sunday? Does he come back at the end of days?
What a fucking twist it would be if he didn't come back.
Is that the expansion pack? You know what I mean?
They got
They're
DLC already for this.
Yeah, we're just waiting for him to come back, and then we actually have it made, but it's not gonna make any sense until Jesus drops in real life. So we're gonna make that happen. Anyway, it's a weird game. It's just weird playing a game where you're Jesus. You know, makes sense. It's very strange. Imagine a game where you play as Buddha. You know what I mean?
That'd be sick. Although you do a lot of just like sitting under
Sitting
a tree.
around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd be under the Bodhi tree, just like Geralt in The Witcher, except just meditating.
The whole time you're just preparing for a fight that never happens.
Yeah, you're just making potions.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's nice. Well, you know who our saviors are, kind of, I guess, our incredible patrons and our Battle Pass holders, Charles Atkinson, Brian Baru. Welcome, Charles Atkinson, by the way. Brian Baru, Little Toast, Yosh, Dwayne the Rock Lobster, Anthony Thomas, Nico Passateri, It's a me, Ferrario, Senator Armstrong, Redredge, Harry Flanagan, Juice, Arno, Matt Pearson, Mark Rojas, Quote, Tucker Morgan, David McGarry, Goddison, Sven Huster, Pez, Bone Mold, John Akers, Ewan Nate, Tim Robinson, Forrest Pruitt, Dark Insanities, Jonathan Kremen, Eric Hamilton Schneider, Christoph Fatui, Grizzly Mug, Cameron Ladd, Zachary Snader, Alex Goucher, George Sakotis, Jacob Godserve, Anthea Jen, James Med, and Ryson. And thank you to all of our incredible patrons over at patreon.com/noclip and patreon.com/noclip2 that allow us to focus on not just making big old Disco Elysium documentaries, but also covering loads of games over on Noclip 2. We're going to give you a heads up on some of the stuff that's hit Noclip 2 and is coming to Noclip 2, as well as Noclip later on the show. But first of all, we need to talk about some of these video games. Where to start? I just need to know what Samson is, Frank. Can you just explain Samson? This is it's not GTA. It's more like Driver, but there's no guns. You're just punching people.
Yes.
What is this thing?
But the cops have guns, which is super unfair because they'll shoot at you. So Samson, I think, is legitimately one of the coolest games of the year. It's made up of a lot of former Avalanche Studio people. It's like I get annoyed when people are shitting on this game. I fucking love Samson. So
we should mention ahead of time that for instance, it has 2,000 reviews or so on Steam, and it is mixed currently. So there is a lot of the reviews have been down on this, but in typical Frank Howley form, he is not bucking to trends.
Yeah, and just like Samson, he's gonna fucking fight back. He doesn't care. Samson's so fucking cool and inspirational. So this game is a miracle. It feels like a PS2 Rockstar game. Like it is straight up like The Warriors. It is very much like Liberty City GTA 3.
The bouncer?
Yeah, I mean, you're beating up. You don't have friends. You're by yourself. The bouncer, you have your crew. So, the Samson, it says early 90s, but it's very much it feels so much like GTA 3 Liberty City. This game is $25. It's from a lot of the team that worked on Mad Max. I like this game already a lot more than Mad Max. The issue with Mad Max is that it was way too big, and you're driving through a desert, and it's kind of boring. But Samson is a tiny little island. It's like the equivalent of the one island of GTA 3. You know, Liberty City is 3 islands. This is if you're just on one island. So it's not that big. But it's jam-packed with missions. And so the premise of Samson is you did a heist, it went wrong, and now you're back in the streets. And the gang has kidnapped your sister. You owe the gang $80,000. And you owe them money every day. So there's a day-night system. It's kind of like Persona. You have 6 action points, and you open up your map, and there's all these crimes you can commit on the map. You can go beat up people. You can go be a getaway driver. You can take down other criminals and steal their money. You can beat up people on the street and take their cash. Again, this is a cool game. So.
Wait, so you're a bad guy?
You're Samson. Look, he's in between. He lives by his own rules and ethics. So there's story missions that prop up, but what I've found is like you kind of want to be. There are skill points, so you do enough crimes, and then you level up. There's like 4 stats. There's like health, agility, endurance, all that stuff. You can level up again, kind of like Mad Max. You can level up like the amount of damage your car tackle does. You can level up the nitrous in your car.
Your car tackle?
Yes. So just like Mad Max. In Mad Max, there's a lot of like vehicular combat. Half the missions in this game are you're like taking down other cars. Again, kind of like Burnout. And you can like press X to slam your car to the side. But the driving AI is like bad. So like it's the driving is like the most actually the driving isn't so bad. It's kind of has like the weight of like GTA 4. But the driving AI, the driving part's a little frustrating. Also, when you're wanted by the police, it does the GTA 3 thing where cop cars will just kind of spawn randomly all the time.
Okay.
Because the map is so small, it's so hard to evade the police. But like a criminal, I'm learning, it's easier if you dump your car and like hide in an alley and then they can't see you. So I'm like, okay, so I'm evolving. So, but the gameplay loop of it is you have like 6 activity points you can spend per day. Some missions are only available at night, etc. Usually most missions are like 2 action points. Some story missions are like 3 action points. So you have to budget your action points. You need to make $3,000 every day. If you don't, the gang gives you a strike. If you get 3 strikes, it's game over. I don't know if you can like new game plus it like Dead Rising.
Wow.
So that's
It's like the American judicial system.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, they lock you up away forever and it's game over. Which like if that happens to me, I'm just retiring from Samson. But I don't know if there's gonna be a mod to remove it. I have modded the game. So Nexus mods, people are modding it to put Samson in like a cop out uniform. Someone's done a Daredevil costume. I've just put on a Punisher t-shirt. I straight up have a Punisher mod.
The character looks like your man Nikolai Coster-Waldau now, or whatever, the guy from Game of Thrones. You know, with the one arm. Spoilers for season 3 of Game of Thrones.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You know,
no one's done like a
Kinda looks
shining.
like him.
No one's done like a Knight of Armor mod yet. But
does anyone try and cut his hair? The source of his power, not to get immediately biblical once again.
I've been holding back this whole time from mentioning the Bible. Thank you for breaking the seal.
Is Delilah?
What is he, the last judge of the Israelites or something?
there are like hair
The
physics.
Philistines are the other gang the Philistines? Isn't that what Delilah was? I think she cut her. Yeah.
There
Frank.
are like advanced hair physics you can tweak and turn on or off.
DLSS.
yeah,
how
it's
much
got a lot
of your
of
VRAM do you want to contribute? Literally, that is a thing in Pragmata. By the way, did you see that? Because you're playing on PS5, I'm playing on PC. Yeah, there's a whole hair physics thing for the girl because her hair is like incredible. But anyway, sorry, we're talking about Samson. Wrong
Yeah,
hair game.
but it's the same thing here. So like with in Samson, so I don't know how the graphic stuff works because it's like that is like a one genuine complaint. It's like it's not very well optimized, but I've been playing it capped at like 60 frames per second, and like it looks all right. They are dropping patches every Wednesday, so we're recording this on a Tuesday. They're gonna patch it again tomorrow, and they keep saying they're gonna keep patching it. The melee combat kind of feels like Batman Arkham Knight. Bad guys will just surround you and you're just kind of snapping to whoever's closest to you. You can pick up weapons like bricks, pipes, like wrenches. You can also throw stuff at enemies. You can click R3 to do like a takedown. You get health back on takedowns. It doesn't have the thing like there is a parry system, but I don't know the timing of it. Batman and Spider-Man will have things where things will flash above. There's no UI element to help you with parries. That would be a good like update to make it easier. But again, if you just keep playing your street smarts, will get better. But yeah, I really like the game, and yeah, again, I don't like how hard it is to escape the police. They should make. Well, I don't know if that's a. I was like, make the police dumber or make the police radius smaller. I don't know, but I don't like the 3 strike system. But that is like real life. But yeah, I'm a big fan of Samson, and it's only $25.
Yes. I think this is to me is like where it becomes cool again.
Yes.
Like where I'm like, okay, this is like a B game? This is like a it's not a AAA game. It's not a triple B game. It's just a B game. We're just gonna we're gonna make a game that's like open world aspirations, but it's just one island. It's got, some weird mechanics in it, and here, $25, go play it. Does that sort of change your math on this whole thing?
Yeah, I feel like if it was $60, it'd be like a mind's eye thing where people are like, "This is great," you know,
Right,
like.
yeah.
But for $25, it's like it really feels like I'm playing Saints Row 1 on Xbox 360, where I had no expectation. Like I said, like the game kind of sucks, but it's also so awesome. I think as this game gets patched, people go nuts with modding. They do want to port it to consoles. I bet by the time it's on consoles, it'll be smooth. But yeah, I'm like, I like this. And again, it's like we don't get that many games that scratch this era. Like it's not filled with like Ubisoft like story dumps or lore pickups or cutscene. Like everything is brisk. It just moves. And yeah, again, it's like I like this. I want 10,000 games. Like give me more games that are like, again, this is what
Wow.
Rockstar was making. These like movie ports of the Warriors and all these small quirky games. And it's like, oh, this is so cool. So I like it a lot. And like, yeah, you're beating up criminals, and then they'll drop like, oh, here's the latest stash of, they call the drug in the game Whisper. So then you find a drug
Nice.
stashing up, you get more people. But
Can you pronounce the name of this city? Because it's written all over the stuff, and I'm like,
it does sound like Game of Thrones. It's Tyndalston.
Tyndalston.
I think the full title of the game is Samson, a Tyndalston story. So I don't know if we're gonna get more games in the world of Tyndalston.
Tyndalston is not like a hard sounding city.
No.
Like if someone
No.
was like fucking Tyndalston, bro, like don't even come into my city. It'd be like, you're from fucking Tinseltown, bro. Like relax.
It sounds like a gated community.
Yeah, it does. It's like in Orange County.
For me, it just feels like it's like the same universe as Crime City. So I've just been calling it Crime City. You know, like
Crime
we made
City.
or Crime City or Samson
where is it meant
City.
to be? Is it like Philly or Boston or?
I think it's the
Chicago?
heist you did wrong was St. Louis. So here, yeah,
Okay.
I don't know if this is like Chicago or New York. To me, it feels like Death Wish 3. Like the tone of this game feels exactly like Charles Bronson's like chaos block in Death Wish 3. So that was like New York City. So yeah, it's just nondescript city, but I'm just pretending I'm in Death Wish 3.
All right. Me and Frank gonna play some Samson for a video. Might be public, might be Patreon exclusive. We'll see. We're gonna have some fun with it. I want to do a quick shout out for the developer's name, Liquid Swords. Do I like that name? I don't know. Liquid Swords.
Isn't that a Wu-Tang album?
Is it?
It's a Jizza album from 1995.
Okay. Well, then I just stole it. So, well, now I don't like it.
I mean, it's been 31 years. I feel like I was going to say the patent expired, but that's not at all true in any way.
I was going to start a new studio called Around the Fur and hope that Deftones don't care. That's Samson. Very cool stuff. No caps. I want to talk to you about a game that just came out as well, which also has seemingly again got this is sort of the inverse, where like this game got some pretty positive reviews. I've seen some other ones sort of echoing what we were talking about in our meeting yesterday with you, which is well, I'll let you get to it. The game is replaced from Sad Cat Studios. This is a sort of a, very beautiful looking 2.5D kind of beat 'em up style thing. What is replaced, and what's your feeling on it after playing a bit of it?
Yeah, so I played like 4 hours over the weekend, I would say, probably like a third of the way through the game. It's a cinematic platformer, probably the most cinematic platformer I've ever seen, and it's like this kind of cyberpunk alternate 1980s is what it's calling itself. There was like a nuclear event, so like the city's like walled off and everyone's like struggling and whatever. And the story is that you're playing as a guy that has just had like this AI like implanted into his head or something, like something went wrong.
Okay.
So your body is the guy, but then like whenever you talk to someone, it's as the AI. So that's like one thing that just kind of throws me off, because it's like, okay, so this guy just has like no personality, like it's just not even a character, like he has no memories or anything, but whatever.
It's also very much the story of the start of Cyberpunk 2077. It's like very similar, where like Johnny Silverhand gets placed in your
That's
brain, anyway.
But it's gorgeous. Like it looks amazing. It's like this mix of pixel art, like for the characters, and then the backgrounds are like, it's like a 2.5D thing. So like sometimes you can move like forward and back towards or away from the camera. Mostly you're just like going left and right. I think that like the intro's really strong. Like there's like chase sequences and like you're kind of making your way like to the edge of the city, but it kind of like for me falls apart like once you start to get into the first mission. And like was having an issue with like reading the environment, like what I could, like boxes I could push, and it also just kind of is sluggish for a game that has like a decent amount of platforming.
Is it mostly like puzzle platforming stuff? How much of it is like combat, I guess? Because in my head I thought this was more shootery than puzzly.
It's like I would say it's like a third puzzle, like you have to jump from, there's not really puzzles, but it's like I push a box over here, or like a little sequence of like jumping and then like putting your hook thing into the wall. A third-ish combat, which is kind of like also like Samson, like a Batman style, like little beat 'em up sort of thing. And then like a third just like story kind of stuff.
Okay.
I think
There's a lot of cinematic stuff.
Yeah, my main reason I don't like it is because I just feel like each part of that is not, like, I feel like there's no strong part. Like, it kind of does each thing, like, okay, like, except for the visuals and the music and everything. But everyone else seems to be enjoying it. So I don't know if it's, like, I had high expectations, so maybe, like, that's a problem. Like,
yeah, I'll have to. Had you played the demo? I haven't played the demo either, and it's still available.
I didn't. I was going to, and I was like, you know what? I'll just wait so I don't have to like replay it. But I don't know. I would say like if you're interested to still give it a try, and maybe like my brain is just like not wired. Like I think also I play so many platformers,
right?
That like I have high expectations. I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder because it's funny because like there have been some reviewers. I was on the Reddit review page earlier. It was sort of the inverse of the Samson stuff too, where you had some people who were like, with Samson, like, oh, this is interesting. Like it's kind of broken and whatever, but it's like it's got its own vibe, and it's, if you come in with this expectation, that's not what you're going to get from this. And I do wonder, like, and I haven't played this at all, but like I do wonder if somebody spends the majority of their time playing like very creative, like underground indie style stuff, which is very, sort of graphics come second, gameplay comes first, a lot of the time. If something that is kind of an inversion of that in replaced, it seems like, and a lot of the reviews I was reading, it was similar where, if you went back, like if you played Limbo today, would it be as interesting as it was 15 years ago? It's so I don't know. So yeah, maybe mileage varies on this depending on how much you play these types of games.
That was kind of one of my notes about it, maybe like appealing more to a broad audience, because it was like I think they just hit 1 million wish lists just on Steam. So like every time they dropped a trailer, it was like a huge deal. And like it's just also like the like Steam community, like the reviews and stuff, like there's just a lot of that toxic gamer guy energy going on.
Oh, really?
Whereas like the games, like just because it is like too popular almost, like
right.
I don't know. It's just not
it
for
sort
me.
of broke indie containment maybe. Yeah. Interesting. I kind of like it's for the same reason I'm interested in playing Samson. I'm interested in playing this because I'm interested in how I will feel about this and like understanding it within the sort of broader cultural context. It's a game that it trailers really well. Like I'm interested in giving it a go, if nothing else, just to see how it looks on a screen in 4K in front of me, because the animation stuff it's really incredible. It reminds me of when you saw Spider-Verse for the first time and you're like, wow, you're allowed to do that? Like some of the stuff, the camera movements and the motion blur and depth of field stuff they're doing is very, very cool. But not to say it's all flash and no substance, but what you're telling me about the gameplay, this happens, I feel like a lot in games. There's games that end up, or not a lot, but like when you see it, it's particularly annoying when you make a game that like looks really good but is actually kind of basic on the gameplay side. But yeah. I shall endeavor to check it out. It came out today. It's got like 207 reviews on Steam, very positive. Like I said, Reddit seems to mostly, or the reviews rather, seem to be mostly positive. The other thing that was weird about, I was reading a couple of reviews because Pragmata came out as well, and there are so many people giving 9s and 10s to things. And like, games are good, sure, but like, it seems so crazy weighted up that high, like in a way that even 10 years ago it wasn't. Like, people are fucking terrified of giving 7s. Like, it's so, I don't know.
But like most games are a 7, like, or a 6.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many games.
Yeah.
They're not all.
And that's
perfect.
good enough. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Totally. Yeah. The idea that we're like throwing out 10s like it's candy on Halloween, you know. But anyway, that's a conversation for a different day. Replaced. It's also $20. So again, the opposite end of the Samson, conversation. This is a 2D platformer. And it's $20 again, games are worth what they're worth. They're, we're worth paying for good craft. But I think about some of the indie games I've played over the years. That maybe didn't cost that much. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm on the wrong side of that conversation there. But $19 for Replaced on Steam. Do you know if it's on anything else? I think Thunderful published it, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's on other stuff.
Is it on Xbox? Yeah, PC and Xbox.
Yes, you're right. PC and Xbox. So, yeah. Let us know what you thought of Replaced in the comments below, folks. I'm going to give it a go this week, or at least check out the demo and see if it sticks with me. And you can do that as well over on steampower.com. Okay, I have to pick something I've played now. Let's go for Pragmata first of all. How about that, Frank? The two of us have played this. Pragmata is the latest game from your friends and mine at Capsule Computers. Capcom have brought out a story-based sci-fi linear, I don't know, action game that takes place in a lunar facility that is sort of taken over by a rogue artificial intelligence, and you in your big spacesuit have to survive and help send signals back to Earth and eventually win the day, all while you have a sort of maybe 7-year-old, 8-year-old girl in like a, I don't know what you call it, like a blue romper, I need help with the fashion
parka?
here. What would you call it? A parka? Is that?
I don't know. I'm just looking at screenshots. It looks like a winter jacket. Yeah,
something you'd wear in Ireland most days in the winter. And with her beautiful blonde hair flowing around, it's something else. I want to get Frank's read on this first because I have loved playing Pragmata. I find it super interesting. It feels very fresh. The combat is interesting for reasons we'll get into in a second, but also just the the loop of it, or the way levels are organized is also really interesting. I think it was Capcom, and I was expecting something. I don't know why, because they made Dead Rising, but I was expecting something a bit more linear, like a Resident Evil, type experience. And that is not what this is really. Frank, what you played on console, I played on PC. What was your take of Pragmata?
Yeah, I'm playing on PS5. I played about 4.5 hours of it. I'm in the third area of the thing now. Yeah, it's
and on that, I think we need to be careful with some spoilers with regard to what the levels are. Maybe let's because I think I would recommend people not watch any reviews for this game, because the trailers did a great job of not spoiling some very cool environmental and enemy type things that it was one of those NDAs where I was like, I immediately understand why you were doing this, and I will sort of I think from a artistic point of view would not want to spoil some of the cool stuff that's in this game. But anyway, sorry, go ahead, Frank.
Yeah, it's incredible. My immediate thought after a few hours it feels like instead of making a new Devil May Cry, Capcom just took all their guts, all of their swag, everything, and just made a brand new, again, it's a brand new IP from Capcom, and it's incredible. And in terms of like the linearity of it, I'm doing the thing where it's like as you play, you get more powers, more weapons, and then you can go back to older levels and unlock more stuff. So it's like, I've been kind of scraping, like I got a thing. Wait, I can go back to this level and go to this area. Oh, and it's like, oh my god, it's so satisfying. And there's constant progression where you're getting points when you're killing things. You can level up all your different weapons and hacking and all this stuff. And the combat of me, it feels like almost like I don't know, Dead Rising or Devil May Cry. You're shooting robots, but the joy of it is you're doing this like luminous like hacking mini game, and then the different panels you're going through has different effects. There's like a multi-hack where if there's multiple robots, you can zap 3 things at once. A thing that extends enemies' weak points to be out longer. A thing that freezes them. Critical. There's so many things to unlock.
Yeah, and just to sort of explain to people how this thing works. So basically, it's like a normal third-person shooter where you are like left trigger, zooming in maybe, or I forget exactly how the shooting works, but is it left trigger you hit to basically get the girl who's on your back, this like little child, she's able to hack the robots. So when you hold the button down, basically within the game world, to me it looks like kind of like Pipe Dream, what game used Pipe Dream as a hacking thing? It was like
BioShock.
BioShock did, you're right, yeah. It's like almost like a pipe dream thing where you have to go like up, down, left, right from your starting point to an end point. But sometimes some of the grid, it's like on a grid. Sometimes the grids are big, sometimes they're smaller, sometimes they have blocks in them. And then sometimes they have these special abilities, like Frank was saying, to hack multiple enemies at the same time, have their windows be open. There's a bunch of them. But the game doesn't pause. So you are playing the game and there's a robot coming towards you and you were shooting it while also using the like face buttons like A, B, X, Y or whatever to fucking hack it with the girl. So you're like, it's like rubbing your fucking belly and tapping your head style combat. And it is so satisfying because you're like constantly looking at their attack windows. There's multiple enemies. Some of them are flying. Some of them are, the sort of the regular bipedal ones, which are, not that scary until they get close to you and then they really hurt you. And then some of the bigger bosses you fight. Did you get to the first boss fight yet?
Yes.
That boss fight was fucking amazing. It was so, oh God, it was so good. And really interesting things happen. It reminded me, what it reminded me of? I've talked before about when I played Typing of the Dead, and then at a certain point, the game makes you go like, Mary had a little lamb, his fleece as white as snow. That's what this game feels like. They're like, okay, we're giving you all of these systems, all of these little combat things, and here we go, motherfucker. Did you pay attention for the first boss fight is such a did you pay attention for the first couple of hours of this game, because we are going to lob all of them on you in one go. Like the weapons that you have a sort of a simple blaster. You have sort of 2 other like slots that are used for, like, one is sort of like a crowd suppression slot and the other one is like an attacking one. And then within those there are different weapons. And it kind of reminds me of something like Dead Space, where like the weapons have a very particular use. Like you really need, it's not like, oh, there's an Uzi and a shotgun and a rifle and it's not just like about DPS. It's more, no. It's strategy. Each of these weapons, is used for a very particular reason, and you have to figure out what it is. Like there's one that, creates a bubble that slows enemies down. There's another one that is like a crowd control grenade launcher thing that like knocks them away from each other. And so in these little combat arenas, there are flying things, bipedal things, lots of these weird esoteric enemies, and you are basically, it's like combat chess, like we had in our Doom documentary, where it's a thinking person's combat. You have to like think about all these things, which hacks you should use, which guns you should use. And then while you're fighting, like it's the simple joy of firing guns while this little girl is like hacking fucking robots. And you're like, she'll even like hack like a missile that's fired at you. She can like send it back to the other enemy, and you have to like look at it and do a little hack on it, and then it'll go. It's so slick, the whole thing. Have you've enjoyed the hacking part of it as well?
Yeah, it's like, again, it's very, very fun. And like even like Resident Evil 4 or even Requiem, it's like they've upgraded the thing where old Resident Evil games, you can only stand and shoot. Here you can slowly move back, but then you're in a corner. There's a lot of like you can jump up around, you have thrusters, you can also level them up. So there's a lot of times you'll like shoot an enemy, get them down, thrust over. I'll pull out a long range gun, charge it, zap it, still spamming it. You can keep an eye on all your reloads because your guns will reload. So like if you're out, you'll just spam hacks. And then the whole point of the hacking thing too is if you shoot an enemy when it's not hacked, you do like very little damage. So
very little damage.
You can still shoot off some like rounds as you're hacking to do like tiny chip damage. But once it hacks, the enemy will like stutter a bit, and then some enemies will have weak points, and then you're focusing in your guns. Once the weak points go down, recharge your hack, and then you can level up each thing so you can have more hacking, all this stuff. Yeah, and then there's like I feel like every game has this, but like the God of War L3 and R3. Here's your super, your ultra. You can use like every it feels like it pops like every 5 minutes or so. So yeah, you have so much utility. Like there's so many different ways of approaching something. Yeah, and then you can upgrade everything. There's like so many different currencies you can upgrade. And
there's a lot of Skinner box stuff, I will say, because like you're even like getting tokens that you can buy. Because so you have this like hub area like that you go back to. It's sort of like the Dead Rising staff room, right? In the first game, where you it's where you and the kid kind of just hang around, and it's where you can upgrade your weapons. You can like get things for her, like what are they called? They're like memories or something.
Yes.
There's like
it's everything's like 3D printed, but here's like stuff you get for her and she plays.
Yeah,
with it.
like
really
childhood things you can play with her. So it's like, and you're not quite sure because like she's clearly like genetically engineered or something, and you're trying to figure out like, is she a robot? Is she in on this? Like what? There's that sort of element going on as well. But the really cool thing is, so when I lost that boss fight, it doesn't like load you on the way back into that room again. It sends you back to your little room with the girl. Like sort of narratively, I think she pulls you out of there is kind of the conceit here. And so then you realize, oh, this game is like run based. Like, when you go back to the elevator, first of all, you've lost your weapons. So you have to reprint all the credits that you got. Yeah, almost like all of the like souls you got on that run you keep, but you lose all your equipment. So you then have to like buy new guns, right? To go back in. To me, what this is the game forcing you to think about what guns you should be bringing in. Like it's sort of like mechanizing, oh, I'll just run back in with all my same stuff. No. You're going to have to spend the money. So you're going to have to think about what you should actually be bringing to this. Like, what are you doing on this run? Are you going back, like Frank said, to an earlier level and just trying to get collect some of these? It almost feels like, what was the game of the Crackdown, where you're trying to get all the orbs? Like it's that feeling, going back to the levels and finding all of these different currencies and upgrade tokens and all this stuff. But yeah, it forces you to do that. And then when you go to like the basically the tram system that you have to go around this lunar base, you can go to different levels, but also at certain points you find ladders back to the tram system. So very sort of FromSoft again. You can sort of use skips to get to different parts of the level faster. And the game will even tell you, oh, in this area, you've actually got like 3 things that you've not found yet. They also have these like, they look like the Metal Gear Solid 4, the little drone that follows you around, the little wheelie drone. They're these weird like cartoon guys. What the fuck are they?
I don't know, but it's the equivalent of like in Resident Evil, there's like the little raccoons now. These little hidden robots that'll just chirp. It's like, hi, or something.
Yeah.
Like,
and you shoot them and then they go back to your room or whatever. So the game's fun, and it's like the story, it's a very like, remember that year where like every game that came out was like about dads and their kids, you know what I mean? Like God of War and, fucking probably Death Stranding and The Last of Us, right? It's I think this is a funny subversion of it because the guy you play doesn't like kids. So it's tropey in one way, but it's also, and you're like, is she a kid? Like we don't really know what she is. She's a pragmata. That's what they call her. She has a name. I forget her name already.
Diana.
Yeah, he calls her Di. Is that her? Does he
I'm
call
like
her
the
Diana?
Japanese version, so it's
that's
oh
funny. Cool.
Yeah.
Oh,
Diana.
nice. Okay. Yeah, it's very cool. Yeah. And so that run-based nature like makes those boss encounters very interesting and makes like what you do in the world interesting. Because like you find a shortcut. Sometimes you're like, you know what, I'm gonna go back and I kind of had the wrong weapon here. Like I'm gonna go back and, sort some stuff out back at the office and then come back in for another run. Yeah, and it just makes it interesting. Like, I thought this game was going to be a point-to-point linear action game, and it's not. It's far more interesting. It's like, from a design perspective, there's so many just curious choices that they decided to make instead of just walking the path most taken, and that makes it fun to play. I think, especially for somebody who's played a lot of games, like it's fun to play a game that is a new IP, but is also doing a lot of super novel things. You're not quite sure what's gonna happen next. And the location and enemy design, we'll keep that behind the veil. But there have been some enemies in this game where I'm just like, excuse me, like, that's what's fighting me? That is grotesque. Like, sort of Ghost in a Shelley type body horror shit. You know what I mean? Like, you're fighting like some of the enemies they've shown are like the bipedal robots, but they're like very tall and like elegant and nice looking until they, pull out their laser blade from their hand, and then like you hack them and their face explodes a bit. Their face sort of deconstructs, like the plastic shells pop off. It's like, it's all that good stuff. It's almost like a android body horror or something. It's doing a lot of like lots of naked androids, which are sort of grotesque in their own way, like mannequin style. And you're like, oh, I don't, it's very, very cool. It's a great game. It's definitely, I think, in the conversation for whenever the like AAA game of the year conversations happen. This is totally in there. I think it's punching above its weight. It's very cool.
And then one little extra point, also kind of reminds me of Prey, because you're just going through this kind of space station, sometimes behind, and so you're just seeing everything and exploring, and so it's like, oh my god, it's ticking a lot of boxes of games I really, really like. So.
Yeah, it does. It plays with gravity and perspective and like all of this stuff. Yeah, it's gorgeous too. I don't know. I'm playing it on my PC. Is it good look on PS5?
Yeah, I get the what is it? The Reach for the Sky engine or Reach for the Moon engine. Like, everything in that system looks awesome.
Yeah, even the holographic cats. They're all doing well. You guys have any questions about Pragmata?
No, it sounds awesome. Go for it.
I just want to know, like, if I play the demo, like I'm downloading it right now, will I know if I like it, or is it like there's so much that like it barely gets into it that like you kind of have to play the full game? Does it like give you a good?
I don't know when the demo takes place. I wonder if, Frank, if it's the build we played. So we played a build at the Game Awards last year or the year before. Maybe it was the year before.
Last year, so 2025.
Was it last year? And it wasn't. It was a special demo. Like, it was not in the game, but it had parts from the game. It had like the first sort of area you run into where you have to unlock some doors, but the intro and outro to it were different than the actual game. So I wonder, Frank, if that's what they showed.
It looks like it's the same thing, but you do fight a boss. So I think that was like kind of the full loop. I'm looking at a long play. It's like 20 minutes, but yeah, it'll give you exploring, kind of the verticality, doing switches, the combat, and then here's a boss fight, and it's which is pretty identical to like the first stage of the game. So let us know. I would love to hear your thoughts on it.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna play it after this podcast because it sounds really cool.
Nice. Yeah, it's I'm into it, and yeah, hopefully that demo will give you an idea of because the opening hour of the game, it's pretty. I feel like the storytelling is pretty economical. Like, it doesn't overdo it. It's, you sort of know what's gonna happen, and then it happens. You know,
it's kind of like yeah. I mean, I'll just let people enjoy it, but yeah.
It's you've seen it before in a movie or a TV. You know, it's good. You're like, oh fuck, I hope the what was it, the red suit guy in Star Trek or whatever. You know. Yeah. But yeah, it's got a lot of cool personality in it. So.
Is this like horror at all, or is it more just straight action?
I don't know. That's a good
It's like
question.
horror in the Capcom way, where it's like fun. It's like Danny was right, and like some of the robot design is like, Jesus Christ, but it's like Devil May Cry. Like, I can't wait to fuck those robots. Like, it's fun, like maybe Evil Dead tone, you know what I mean? Where it's like it's way more.
Yeah.
It feels way more action and inviting, like Devil May Cry, than like how oppressive early Resident Evil can feel. It feels gleeful and like So even playing it reminds me also like Stellar Blade and DMC. It's like that tone of like, oh, this is cool.
Yeah, I would agree, but the one way in which I would say it's different is that like, I find this game very foreboding because the time to die is very quick. Like, you don't have that much health, and really, like, they can hurt you pretty hard. And like Frank said, if you don't hack them, you cannot hurt them. And like I've died probably more playing this game than I have most games I played over the past few years. Like this, not as much as like a Souls game, but like definitely more than most action games that I feel like I breeze through unless I'm just being sloppy. Like there were areas in this game, like the main boss fight at the start I had to do. I think I got on my third attempt. There was another area that I had struggled in that I had to do on 3 runs as well. So to me, it's like tense because of that. So it's not horror necessarily, but like when I go into the next level, it's not like a game where I'm like, oh, here we go, and I run in and start killing things. I'm like kind of scared about what's around the corner. You know what I mean? So that's the sort of the horror aspect, I would say. It's like, yeah, it's tense. Kind of like the way Resi is, you know, like in Resi, the fear of what might come next is scarier than the actual fear usually of when you see the thing that's coming after you, you know? So yeah, I think it hits that mark really good. Pragmata, it's out. Is it out? It's out. Came out yesterday at time of recording. We obviously had press codes, so we played a good bit for the past couple of weeks, and I'm excited to play some more. But yeah, 2 thumbs up from me for sure. Okay, let's talk about Subversive Memories. Jeremy Jane. This sounds like an album title. What is Subversive Memories?
So Subversive Memories is a very Signalis-like survival horror game. In many ways, it kind of looks like Signalis. It has its own sort of visual style, but very sort of reminiscent in the perspective and level of fidelity. The themes it deals with are sort of like totalitarian fascism and alienation, memory, the fallibility of memory. This feels so Signalis-like to me, and honestly, it doesn't bother me at all. Like, it doesn't feel derivative of Signalis. It feels like someone played that game and was like, oh, fuck, you can just make a game like that? Let me make like another cool-ass game that's kind of like that. So this is it's a survival horror game that takes place. I'll read the exact quote because I think it kind of plays with the historicity of events.
Okay.
Story-driven survival horror set in Brazil during the last military dictatorship. It sort of plays with because I did a little bit of research about the actual historical background of this because I don't know Brazil's history super well. And there are historical events that align with what's happening in this game, but there are fantastical elements to the story. And also like it's sort of, you don't walk up to a portrait and it's like, oh, here's like a real historical figure.
Right.
There's a portrait of the sort of military dictator at the time, and the face is just like a white blanked out face. So in the way that it's playing with like memory and the fallibility of memory, I think it's also doing that on a personal level and also a historical level, where by omitting some of the more historical details, it allows them to ground it's a very grounded horror game, but it allows it to sort of like transcend that historicity, where it doesn't just have to like tell historical events and confine its story to real historical events.
Do you think it says the last military dictatorship, is that them saying the previous one or like the last one that will ever happen, like a sort of hypothetical last dictatorship?
That's a good question. I Googled last Brazilian military dictatorship, and there was a specific historical period that came up for that search. So I assume it's in reference to that. The game references things that feel like sort of like late 60s to early 80s, some of the historical stuff. Like the car, there's like they talk about the main character's like granddad's car in a flashback and stuff, and it's a very sort of like old, like 50s looking kind of like granddad car. So, but yeah, I thought it was interesting that it wasn't like I was kind of expecting this to be like Signalis meets Despalote a little bit, where I was expecting to walk in and it was like, 1964, the coup happened. Like I was expecting more sort of real world lore drops. And instead it's kind of using those historical elements as backdrop. It's sort of like obscuring them and creating tone with them more so. So the game sort of bounces between you as the main character are in this sort of like military base where everyone is like dead and shit's all fucked up, but you're bouncing between that and sort of like traversing through personal memories of growing up with your grandparents and sort of weird, like vaguely supernatural events that happened to this main character as a child. And it's really fascinating. Like it is very, very story driven. In the first hour or so of the game, I think I fought like 2 enemies, and it was mostly just kind of like walking around, reading stuff, solving puzzles, going through weird memories, doing dialogue. But all in a very compelling way. Like it never felt like I was like, all right, let's get to the, give me a gun and let me get in there or whatever. I kind of was just content to follow the story because it's sufficiently interesting. And it has this very grounded, like old horror movie feel to it, where when the scares happen early in the game, it's not like you open a door and there's like a zombie there who bites your face. It's like I was walking through this abandoned military base and there's a huge like thing of records and I can't get the drawers open. And I walked to the other end of the room to look for stuff. And then a few of the drawers like shoot open and it scared the shit out of me because it's just like, it's like The Exorcist or something. Not all the scares are the girl's head spinning around. Sometimes it's just like, you close a door and then the door opens on its own. And that's almost creepier because you can imagine it happening in real life or something. Like if you were alone at night and the door opened by itself, that'd be almost like that's more horrifying because your imagination starts to fill in all the catastrophic shit that's about to happen. So yeah, I won't talk too much about the story because I gather that this game is quite short. Like I saw online, someone said 4 hours, which means I'm probably about halfway through it.
Cool. It's only about $10 as well. So
yeah, no, it's I think if you like survival horror games and specifically sort of the way that survival horror games and RPGs have this kind of Venn diagram crossover where we're just like immersing yourself in the world and interacting with the story is the appeal for you, like the atmosphere and the narrative and the mystery of it all. This very much hits the spot for me. So it's like Signalis adjacent Brazilian gothic horror is how I would describe this.
A lot of puzzles.
Pretty light puzzles. Yeah. Okay. I mean, I've definitely encountered a handful of puzzles, but they're, like when you do a puzzle in Silent Hill or whatever, it's not crazy. It's just like play the 3 notes on the piano type puzzle or whatever,
Moonlight Sonata. You gotta have a Moonlight Sonata in there somewhere. I will say, I did see in the screenshots there is a statue of a lady holding the Scales of Justice, and I was like, "Yep,
that is one of the early game puzzles."
Is she blindfolded? You know what I mean? Like, are we? Let's tick all the boxes here.
It's a metaphor, bro. Yeah, I really enjoy this a lot. I think survival horror to me is an interesting genre where it sort of got so far away from its narrative atmospheric roots into this like action stuff, and then indie survival horror brought back sort of the initial just like, I don't know, I want to feel like I'm in like House on Haunted Hill more than I want to feel like I'm, slaughtering hordes of zombies sometimes. Sometimes I just want to be like a disempowered person. Like the weapon is like a flashlight and you get batteries to replenish it.
Flashlight?
Yeah, the weapon is a flashlight. Wow. I won't go into detail about how it's used.
It's still on Steam, you're telling me.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. It gets nuts. Yeah, and the themes again are just so similar to Signalis that I think it's hilarious how original it feels given how close it is, because it is about like memory and like the game is called Subversive Memories, but it sort of is dealing with like repressed memories and how, this sort of interesting parallel between how like memories can challenge our sort of like story we tell ourselves, our self-mythologization of like what's going on, who we are, and like what's going on in reality, and the sort of structural systemic parallel to that of like challenging systems by telling different stories about them, and how like a totalitarian fascistic dictatorship needs to control narratives about what it is and control the way that people frame it and tell stories about it. I think it's a really, really interesting, quite profound parallel between those two things that this game is walking the line between.
Very cool. Subversive Memories. Thank you for explaining. It's tricky. I'm so glad that you're the person to talk about games like this, because it is so hard to communicate, when a game is attempting to reach you on that sort of that level of history and philosophy and the sense that it's communicating, not necessarily like, oh, the platforming's great, you know what I mean? Like it's so tricky to communicate that stuff, and it's also interesting to hear, from somebody who really adores Signalis, that this does a good job of being its own thing. You know, you can obviously Signalis has the genre, the aesthetic genre shift perhaps helps a little bit too, whereas Signalis is pretty, I guess it's sci-fi, but it's not really. It is about going through a bunch of old buildings. So
yeah, it's definitely like sci-fi, but it's not about, you know, there's sort of like one spaceship at the beginning. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're not like fucking invading the Death Star.
No. That's Signalis too. Once they've got the budget, they can fuck it up.
I can't wait for that one, dude.
Speaking of sequels, have you seen, well, not sequels, speaking of cool studios making new things, have you seen the trailer for the new game by the 1,000 Times Resist people?
Oh, yes. I didn't watch the whole trailer because I'm trailer-verse and because I love 1,000 Times Resist so much that I'm in. But I watched like the first 10 seconds of it. It's you are like going to interrogate an AI or something to convince it that it's not human. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
That sounds
Sunset
awesome.
Visitor's new game, I think. Did I have a link to it? Yeah. Prove You're Human. Which is, very... Yeah, I don't know. I the trailer looks really interesting to me. It sort of ended on almost like a Windows 98 startup noise in the trailer, which it's doing a lot of, I don't know, that I feel like, you know, we'll follow that crowd into the sun. You know what I mean? Like they've earned enough trust with 1,000 Times Resist. Did that win our game of the year? It was one of our games of the year at least.
Yeah, it was definitely up there. I think we were doing superlatives rather than like a ranking.
Yes.
It definitely got like best narrative or best artistic vision or something like that.
Love it.
Yeah, no, the like interrogating an AI and its humanness, I think is a really interesting theme as well, because I think AI has become a term that's so conflated now with like with LLMs and generative art that it's like yeah, if an AI was sentient, I would fucking beat the shit out of it, dude. And it's like, well, but what if it was like actually sentient? Like, no, what if it wasn't just like AGI claims by fucking techno-fascists? You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
So I think it's quite a subversive area to explore, because I feel like that was a lot of science fiction before we got like close enough to the shitty sci-fi future that we're in now. It was people like Philip K. Dick were like, what if your girlfriend was a robot? And it's like, well, what if my girlfriend was a robot? That would be crazy. And now it's like, well, now we're too close to a shitty version of that reality for it to be interesting. So to sort of like go back to that well and do like philosophical thought experiments about it is cool to me.
They've also, I feel like, have waded in those waters as well with 1,000 Times Resist. Like, there's a lot of like, what is self if you're a part of a computer or living in without getting too much into the themes of that game. Like, there's lots of identity is like kind of the main thrust of that game's narrative. Like, who am I, or am I part of me, or whatever? You know, when time moves forward, am I the same version of myself? All that sort of stuff.
Yeah, which is some of the stuff that I think science fiction is best at. Is like science fiction is so interesting to me. Not for I like Asimov and stuff like that, but the stuff that's really interesting to me is like Philip K. Dick, where instead of technology being like, you know, what if we got to space and like the aliens were there and they gave us like the cure for cancer? It's like, yeah, that's like fun to imagine. But the sci-fi that interests me is how does the like unchangeable human element of us deal with like these new realities. And as like you said, like once you can ship a Theseus all your body parts in like a transhumanist way and you're like a fucking android with the same brain, it's like when are you still you? Or like there's like a part of our brains that is still just like a fucking primate, and it's like when you put that in the robot shell, how does the monkey part of us deal with the robot part of us?
Right, exactly. So
the part that's like really interesting to me is that it's like, it seems like there's kind of like a severance thing of like your body, like you can see your body, but then like you're in this program or whatever. So there's like the one bullet point on here says at the end of the program, decide if you like to remerge your two selves or discard your work self. So I'm like, oh, that's interesting.
Nice.
Because Severance was like, I feel like, I mean, the more I watched it and like I uncovered the mystery, it like wasn't as cool or whatever, but like just that idea and like what happens on the outside and like what do the two like halves know about each other, and like does the digital or like the work one, is that like a real person, or is like the other person the real, like that whole like thing.
It's like the time traveling or cloning thing you get as well in like movies like Looper, or where you have to, go back and kill your old self, or which version of you, or like The Prestige or something. You know what I mean? There's so many movies that have like messed around with that idea of like, what is there one of you in a world in which you can copy yourself or meet yourself or change, go back in time or whatever, like is there a single spiritual you, or are you just meat and electricity?
Yeah, no, that's what I like about it is like I think that there are I'm not like a religious person and never have been, but I sort of developed a sense of spirituality sometime between 18 and 20, and I feel like part of that is it's more like a philosophical relationship to thinking about the nature of self, and like how self, like the ego is sort of this constructed mechanism, that there's no like essential, like you can't like take like the sense of self and extract it and put it in like a jar or something, and that's like this terrifying thing that we spend our whole lives trying not to think about. And I think that the interesting thing about science fiction is that it is a dimension through which people who are averse to spiritual or philosophical dimensions of thinking can be like introduced into those ideas in a way that's accessible, because it's like, it's not like, what if like an angel came to your bedroom and it's like, oh well, that's fucking bullshit. And it's like, but what if like a robot came to your bedroom and said the same shit? It's like, oh fuck, now you got me, dude. Of like, I don't know, there are interesting ways in which we can sort of be like a Trojan horsed into thinking about deep philosophical issues by having like a what if that seems grounded in technology.
I think one of the issues that I have certainly was some of the reasons that I left the church when I did, was that to me in science fiction, it's like we are playing around with these questions, whereas like in a lot of organized religion that I grew up around with, it's like, this is the answer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's not think about it. Because if you thought about it, you'd probably come up with a different answer. But like they're like, no. This is why. And I think to me, it's like there's this I think I've mentioned it before in this podcast, probably. There's this great play called I think it's called Mr. Burns the Musical or something. And the first okay, if you're going to watch this play, close your ears now. Is anyone here going to watch this play?
You've told me about it before.
I have, yeah.
Yeah,
so
a long time ago.
The first half of the play is basically about, it's like a bunch of people, or if I remember correctly, around a campsite, basically referencing episodes of The Simpsons, like just talking about all these references. And then after the matinee, it's basically like 2,000 years in the future or something. Like an apocalypse happens right at the end of the first half. And then they skip forward, same cast, but they're all playing different people. And basically what's happened is sort of Book of Eli style or whatever. There is like people have, the stories of The Simpsons have prevailed, and people have built religions based on these, jokes that they only half remember from the TV show. And to me, that's like, it's a perfect, it's not perfect, but it's a very good allegory for the way in which people read ancient text, where, the reason why Jesus turned the water into wine. Like, why would you turn water into wine? And it's like well, at the time, there was probably there was lots of rules around if you had a feast, you had to supply the wine. It was very embarrassing. If you ran out of wine, there was actually fees for people who did. If you ran out of wine and all these people came and brought things, then you would have to pay pay them down the road in wine if there wasn't enough of it. It's all about celebration. It's all about sanctifying something. Like there's all of these clues at that period that this is referring to, but like thousands of years removed for it, you're just like, you have to come up with some other fucking reason why that's relevant. And that's like so much of religion is like misinterpreting things that were clearly allegories, like these things didn't fucking happen. The people back then, some of them they thought happened. Some of them it was just part of like, this is the way in which we want to tell our story. It's not literal. Like they didn't have the scientific method. They didn't have history as we have it. They don't think about the world in these binary ways. They think about the world like nature and the sky as these sort of, amalgamous philosophy and science and all these things, they all spread into each other. You know what I mean? It's not to be taken like this actually happened. It's a concept about thinking of the world that we don't do anymore. We don't have anymore because we've evolved and had all these new ways of thinking, categorizing things and all that. And it's like, yeah, so I feel like that's like a big aspect of looking into that type of historical meaning. I forget why we were talking about this, what game it was. Was it
I think it started with Subversive Memories.
Subversive Memories?
Oh, we started talking about Sunset Visitor and the AI bullying the AI game.
It's cool. Games are cool. They can get you to think about cool shit and ask questions, like you said. That's the good shit. Maybe that's why I'm playing I'm Jesus Christ, because it's like allowing me to re-engage with the very literal interpretation of these texts and to kind of remind myself how much of it is just like, at the time, this probably made a lot of sense to tell the stories this way, but oh my God, like, global North white people have really fucked up this text. You know what I mean? They've really misinterpreted it in the most self-aggrandizing, chauvinistic way. You know what I mean? That's the vibe I get anyway.
Well said.
All right. We've got to stop talking about I Am Jesus Christ, the video game.
It's yielded good discussion, honestly.
I feel like it's going to pop up in every single episode, just like
think so?
Somehow.
What's going to be great is if one of you, it pops up for one of you.
I'll play
It'd be like if one of us, who isn't Jeremy, played World of Warcraft. So I played about 3 hours of Mists of Pandaria last week.
Really?
Really?
Oh my God.
I wanted to know what, Frank had talked about it. You've obviously been talking about WoW for the past couple of weeks. And I was like, let's keep the WoW train going. I need to know what the fuck Mr. Pandaria Classic is about. And I fucking did not like it.
Yeah.
I felt terrible. I played like up to, I don't know, not that high because the leveling is slower, maybe level 6 or something. I played like maybe 3 hours or 4 hours or something like that. I actually recorded the first couple of hours. I might, and I did commentary, so I might publish that for patrons at some stage. I found it very, I've been thinking a lot about the Legend of California and Native American stuff. And the more I play that game, the more I'm like, ooh, I don't know if I'd put them in this, like nobody even speaks any language in that game. They just go, "Hurr!" They don't say like, I'm going to get you. Or, there's like, it is so, and all of the humans are so caricatures of things. Like, oh, those guys are Spanish. You know what I mean? That's a cowboy. There's no depth to it. And I'm like, I don't know if, I'd like to see something in here that's given a sort of deft touch when it comes to Native Americans in California, but the actual, like nothing else in this game when it comes to people or societies is given any consideration. I'm like, I don't know if that's going to be like they're clearly there for mechanical reasons and it works on a mechanical level in the same way like the forest. I don't really give a shit about the lore of the forest. It's just interesting and whatever. And I felt the same way about Mr. Pandaria. I was like, this is kind of, I don't know. It reminded me of the like, the like aliens that are clearly like Chinese people at the start of the Phantom Menace. Remember, you know that, right?
It felt like that.
It felt a bit like that.
I gotta look up what the world looks like in Mists of Pandaria because I never played it.
It felt because I was interested if it was like, I talked last week with Frank about it. If it was like xenophobic, right? Like sort of this anti-Chinese sort of thing that comes across in a lot of Western countries. And it didn't make me feel like, when you play Ghost of Tsushima and you're like, yeah, they cared about the lore. Like when I was playing this, I was like, ooh, some of these voices, the characters, the look of the place. I was like, I don't know, man. I don't think this is it. And I just also didn't vibe with it at all. Like it wasn't like fun or like a cool place to be. I don't know. The whole time I was like, I can't wait to get off this fucking island. But like, it's a big, the Pandarian Islands pretty big. I think you probably stay there for, I don't know, until like level 15 or 20 maybe. I don't know. I also couldn't figure out where the fuck it was on the map. Where is it?
Oh, really? Hang on, let's look this
I kept
up.
like right-clicking and then it would always went back to the world map. And I was like, okay, where is it? Do you know where it is, Frank?
No, I've only been doing human. Like I've been doing I'm in Dustwood right now, so I haven't I touched the panda stuff.
Well, I'm touching this panda stuff right now, so to speak. Yeah, if anyone knows where the Pandaren Island is does it exist in the ether? Maybe that may make sense because then nobody ever found them. But no, I couldn't fuck with the pandas. I don't know. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it just feels like
I tried.
It feels like a weird like China themed theme park with pandas, and
Yeah.
It feels like PragerU would make a video about it where they ask white people if it's offensive, and we're like, yeah, it's kind of offensive. And then they ask Chinese people, they're like, I think it's neat. And then they're like, see, white people,
Yeah.
fucking relax.
It's very like if everyone thought that Irish people were what happens on Paddy's Day. Like, that's kind of what this
If there was
feels
like a
you know?
leprechaun expansion,
Yeah.
and everyone was running around doing like shitty fucking
top
accents.
of the morning to you and
Yeah,
fucking,
yeah.
you know, yeah,
Pots of gold and all that.
eating potatoes,
drinking
and,
lots of fucking Guinness.
Exactly. Well, hey, look, some stereotypes are based on
Some
truth. You know what I
stereotypes
mean?
exist for a reason.
Let's not go crazy here. Yeah, so I don't know. I wasn't into it.
That doesn't surprise me. That's when
Yeah.
I fell off before that. But I remember seeing Pandaria come out and be like, I got out when the getting was good.
Yeah. I think it's cool. I wasn't quite sure how they rolled out all those, but you can go back to like WoW Classic, Burning Crusade Classic, Mists of Pandaria Classic. Like they don't like get rid of the old ones, which I actually wasn't aware of. So that was pretty cool to see. So I might go back to WoW Classic, hang out with Hogger and the crew. We have one more game to talk about, I believe, and it's also going to come up in an interview after this podcast. I sat down with Chandana Ekanayake, also known as Eka, let's call him creative director, I'm not quite sure, one of the co-founders of Outerloop Games, who made Falcon Age back in the day. We did an interview with Eka on the Noclip channel a number of years ago now for Falcon Age. Thirsty Suitors was a game that came out a couple of years ago. It's sort of games that are sort of sort of Southeast Asian culture experience, you know, the sort of miasma of cultures, the mixing pot, as it were, the melting pot of cultures down there, based on Eka's heritage himself and a bunch of the folks who work on these games. Thirsty Suitors was a very sort of a game planted in sort of contemporary life with regards to being a person from that part of the world. Dosa Divas, similarly, is sort of based on family and cooking and a bunch of aspects of I guess late capitalism, which we'll get into in a second. But I did talk to Eka. That interview will happen after this podcast. Just keep listening and it'll roll on into it. But before we talk to him, myself and No Caps have played Dosa Divas. What did you make of it? How much have you played so far, No Caps, and what is your take on Dosa Divas? And have you played any of their previous games?
I've not played any of their previous games, but I was just looking up Falcon Age and that looks really cool. I'm gonna have to watch the Noclip video about it, I guess. Learn more.
Yeah, it's a short one. We did a GDC back in, what was it, 2018 maybe, Jeremy? It was
Something
a while
like
back
that,
ago. Yeah.
I had a broken foot, I believe.
Oh, you did?
It was when I had no shoes on, and
Yes.
everyone would come in and stare at my weird, like, bloody sock.
Like, this is Jeremy. He films everything. He's got his own thing going on.
I remember, can I interject for 1 second? Sure. I remember when we interviewed Eka, he mentioned that a relative of his was a meditation teacher, and it happened to be it was Henepola Gunaratana, who wrote a book that was sort of like the most influential meditation text of my life.
Wow.
And it was like a very weird coincidental moment, and I was like, that's crazy. And I just remember standing on one foot with a sock on and being like, dude, I like know you're fucking, I forget their relationship. It might be like his grandfather. But I just remember thinking that he must think I'm like the fucking nuttiest dude, like escaped from the asylum to film this interview.
That's wild. He's like, Thich Nhat Hanh is also my, my landlord. Or,
Anyway,
That's very cool. Yeah, Ekka's he's good people. He's an interesting dude. And yeah, their games are they're very unique in that respect. But yeah, sorry, no caps. Yeah, what have you made of your time? How much have you played, and what have you made of your time on it?
I've played for 2 hours and it's just like fun. It's like colorful, like there's a bunch of weird ideas like mixed into one. Like there's like these mech kind of robot things that like bond to people or whatever, and then like you're like fighting this like giant like crab robot thing. And then you're also there's like these mini games for like cooking all this different food because everyone. So the story is that like your playing as two sisters and one of the robots, and then the third sister is like this evil, runs this like corporation that makes these like fast food like microwave meals or whatever. So everyone's just eating these like pre-made meals, and like the art of cooking has been lost or whatever. And so you're trying to like find your sister to like reason with her, and then also like feed the people of the world like good food. So that's part of it. And then the other part is like turn-based combat, which I never really like gel with turn-based combat. Like Expedition 33, like I kind of like bounced off that, even though I really liked how weird the world was and everything. But here it's kind of like a little bit simplified, and it's just like fun. That's like my word to describe it, is fun.
Yeah, it's very the game is punchy. It's like, okay, next thing. It kind of gets to the point. For me, I feel like I have enjoyed Outerloop's games in the past. They have always felt like games made by small teams with big ideas, and sometimes kind of got there with some aspects, or like didn't get there with other aspects. To me, it reminds me of the games that we've covered over the years, where it's the team has stuck together through a couple of projects, and then they just get better and better and better. I am really impressed by this game. I think it's their best game they've put out. I think mechanically it feels richer. It feels like some of their old games felt a little bit thin on sort of the gameplay things. Sometimes felt mini game-ish perhaps, or like one off or something like that. There is gameplay depth here that I find really interesting. So the food aspect of this game is sort of like throughout, right? So when you are trying to make these dosas, which I guess is a South Indian. I've never had one. Has anyone had a dosa before?
Yes, dosa are delicious.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
What type of dosa have you had? What's in a dosa? It's made of lentils and stuff, is it, or something like that?
Is it lentil flour? I'm not sure. It's like a giant, incredibly thin pancake, and it's usually served like with like curry kind of things rolled up in it. It's kind of like a giant burrito.
Okay,
is how I've had it. I don't know. There may be different ways of having it. There was a place in Cambridge I used to go in college all the time that served dosa. I
will say I get hungry playing this game.
The food looks so good.
Yeah. And the cooking stuff is interesting. So like and I think this game won me over. I think the first couple of hours I was like, okay, just doing some interesting stuff. And then once it eventually taught me all of the mechanisms in that first town, I was like, okay, now I sort of get the flow of this. So what you're doing is, like NoCap said, it's the two sisters, and then you have this sort of like almost like Titanfall 2-esque mech who's like got a personality and stuff. You are walking around this town collecting ingredients, and then you're trying to feed the army. Basically, you're feeding the uprising, and each person has a different type of dosa that they like. There's like a vendor guy who you can like spend things on to give you certain things like curry powder or coconut milk or whatever. And then you go into a mini game. You have to like put together the dosa out of these like four multiple flavor profiles and these four sort of like templates that they go into, I guess. And then if you have all the items, it's basically a set of mini games, which are usually like, timing based things or, stick control based things, but it's pretty fast. There's usually like only like two things you have to do to make one of the doses. And then it makes multiple doses for you. You can give one to them. You can use one yourself in combat and it'll give you a certain perk. And then in the turn-based aspect, each of your characters has like NoCap said, it's less complex than something like Expedition 33, but there's still a decent amount of like planning that you need to have in here. The enemies have things that they are resistant to, or what's the opposite of a resistant?
Weakness.
Weakness. There we go. Thank you. It's been a long day. They're weak to certain things, but they're all flavor profiles. So it's like salt or sweet or, savory or chili, like heat, spiciness. So and each of your moves has a certain aspect of those things. All the moves are also like food based, like you're throwing plates or you're hitting people with spatulas. And then they have the block window and the attack window stuff going on. So you're always doing something. You're always like in a menu, picking a thing or like trying to block or trying to like time a thing so you hit them more. And the fights are like not overly long. Even the boss fight at the end of the first area was, it had multiple phases in it, but it felt great. It was like, oh, this is like, it's sort of the music's good and all that stuff. I love the animation. I think the animation in this game is terrific. Like there's so much personality coming out of the robot. Whenever he runs, if you hit the run button, he Naruto runs. And if you do like a double jump, he like tries to fly like a chicken kind of thing.
Yeah. Also, like he has a horn. Like you can honk the horn, so you can just run around like spamming it. It's like a clown horn. Like it's so funny.
Yeah, it's got great personality. It's voice acted. Like the story is interesting. You're meeting the local sort of auntie who's pissed off and is doing like trying to do a terrorist attack to try and get this lady away from the town. And they're like, "Whoa, don't be so extreme." And she's like, "I don't fucking care." You know what I mean? Like I'm old. One of my favorite things is like the enemies you fight are all like versions of just like capitalist bureaucracy. Like all of the enemies you fight in the first town are lawyers, and so like one of them is like almost like a snake, like sitting on like a snake throne. Another one is like an intern, and they're like tricky. They're tricky like lawyers, so they'll come at you to try and hit you, but then they'll hit you at a weird timing. Like they won't hit you on the beat where it looks like they're going to hit you. And so there's all this like, it's just like clever storytelling. Like, oh, these lawyers are like not to be trusted. I get it. And then later levels, they have other sort of like, tech bro-y style enemies in it, which are cool. And then the way they even attack, the fact that it's thematically sort of accurate, I think is pretty cool. So yeah, I was surprised how much, how Moorish I found the whole thing. I have the menu music stuck in my head all the fucking time. That's the other thing. The music is like very sort of the region and made in house as well, I believe, and pretty cool. Yeah. Do you have any final thoughts on it? No Caps.
I just thought it was fun. Like there's always like. Yeah, like you said, like there's always something to do, like even in combat and stuff, you're like parrying or you're like doing like the special attack and then you have to like bounce the walk back and forth like to the beat. Yeah. But yeah, it kept my attention. I'm going to go play some more later.
Yeah, it's very economic. I think it's a game that doesn't sort of it's trying really hard not to let you get bored. It's like, the fights are snappy, then do this, then do this, then do this. And then it opens up a bit more in the later levels. But yeah, I think it's real neat. I think it was over my expectations. I didn't play that much of Thirsty Suitors, but it wasn't one that connected with me. Falcon Age back in the day was a game that I really liked, but it feels like a small game. This feels confident in a way that was really cool, I think. And yeah, I could watch the animations in this game and the art design, and there's just a lot of really fun ideas in here. And yeah, and the girls are great. Like the two sisters they're very it's funny how like the central sort of conflict in this game, similar to stuff they've worked on in the past, is just like family shit. It's just like, we're coming home to meet mom and dad. One of the sisters hasn't been back in a long time. Since then, town has changed. The other sisters who runs this like DoorDash fucking, no, it's not even DoorDash. It's more like Marley Spoon or something, like one of the, well, I guess that's a meal kit. It's whatever. It's like, they're selling you, microwave meals or whatever. Everyone's forgotten how to cook, but she's like bitter as well. 'Cause like she wants her success to be, You know, she's kind of got like youngest child syndrome or whatever. It's very cool. There's a lot of like, it's ultimately the whole thing is just about family and community and sort of political action, and I think that's really cool in a game that's also just about like food and shit. You can download the demo. It is available. The game is out now as of today, actually, as we're recording. It is out. And it's $20 usually. It's down to about 10% off until April 28th. But yeah, you can also check out the demo if you want as well over on Steam. And is it coming out on anything else? I think it's coming out on everything. Yeah, it is. We talk about it. I'm pretty sure it's coming out on a whole bunch of shit. Yeah, it's out on Switch 1, Switch 2. It's out on Xbox, PlayStation, the whole shebang, I think. So there you go. Dosa Divas. Check it out now. All right. You want to take a couple of emails here, Frank?
Yeah, that'd be awesome. If people want to send us an email, please write to us, podcast@noclip.video, or in our Patreon Discord in the podcast chat channel. Once again, that's podcast@noclip.video. Our first question comes from Frenzied Man Beast, who asks about Triple I gaming. I just turned 41 and find myself noping out of the constant labeling and marketing churn about what is and isn't indie and the incessant need to label everything instead of just enjoying games as a personal experience. If it's good, it's good. Unless it utilizes de novo / kernel level DRM, then it's evil. The latest big marketing push seems to be for Triple I gaming, including Steam ads and even a full website at triplei-initiative.com. On one hand, anything to help consumers connect with studios for game discovery and cut out the draconian publisher modes is a positive, but my boomer gamer spidey senses can't help but worry that this is just a big marketing firm trying to rebrand as something hip, cool, outside those older conventions. What do you all think?
Did any of you guys watch the Triple I showcase this year?
A little bit.
I like half watched it.
Yeah.
I know Jesse had some thoughts on this. He was chatting about it a little bit on Blue Sky. We talked privately as well about it over the weekend. Yeah, what did you make of it? What did you make of it? It was like 45 minutes of back-to-back trailers, they said. World premieres, gameplay reveals, launch dates. I thought it was longer than that. Maybe it was 45 minutes.
It was 45.
Okay. Yeah, what did you make of it?
Personally, like the only games, like I knew about a couple games that were going to be in it, and then those were the ones that interested me. Like I didn't like find any of the other stuff, like the reveals and stuff, that interesting. There was a lot of multiplayer games, which aren't it for me. So obviously I'm just gonna like tune out for that. But I mean,
unless
I don't
you're
know,
playing Big Walk with us.
Oh yeah, that's the
right?
exception. Yeah, we gotta have to do a series on that.
Yeah, we do. When that game comes out, we gotta play some more. But yeah, so it didn't. That's interesting. The games that you were there to see ended up being the ones you were.
Yeah, like there's
in.
like a Cairn DLC is coming this summer. That's like free, cool. And Over the Hill, which is like a lo-fi like SnowRunner type thing. I knew it was going to be in it. But
that's cool. I gotta check that out. I'm not seeing that. Did you play? Just because I wonder if you were into that one. Did you play? What's that game about? The caravan or what is it? Oh fuck!
Sandwich Caravan?
Caravan Sandwich?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, Caravan Sandwich. Have you played that?
Mm-hmm.
Were you into it or?
Yeah, I liked it a lot. Like it was not perfect, but like just the fact, like the whole theme of it, like it's like this beautiful Mediterranean thing, but there's also like this sci-fi stuff, and like you're just going around like helping the locals, and like it was just fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Good vibes. Yeah, I'm with you. It wasn't perfect, but it was doing.
Yeah, it's not really not actually things. Like an off-roading game, like, but
yeah,
you can still drive around. Yeah.
And thanks for reminding me about Over the Hill, because I've definitely seen that Steam page, but forgot to wishlist it. So yeah, that's an interesting one for sure. Jeremy, what about you? What did you make of it?
Yeah, the kind of the things that interested me from it were things that I was already aware of, like Sunset Visitor's new game and stuff, which again, it's like I'm a weird use case, because if I'm already convinced that I want to play a game, I want to hear nothing about it. So when they're like, let's go to the studio and hear all about it, it's like, no. I'll watch that when I finish the game, but I'm already sold on it. And then yeah, kind of nothing else really clicked for me. It was mostly stuff that I was aware of, or like additional content for stuff I was aware of. There was a few games I hadn't heard of prior, but nothing crazy for me. But in terms of like using indie or triple I or whatever, all these different labels as like a marketing thing, yeah, I think the water has just been so muddied that it's kind of indie just means like not triple A now, and so it's become a marketing term. I feel like, I don't know, I don't feel like I see a lot of sort of like publishers being like, oh, we're gonna like launder this AAA game as indie and like fake it or whatever. I feel like indie is just such a, like, AAA is a little tiny slice at the top of the spectrum, and then everything else is indie. So it's we've talked about this before, but we need better labels, like underground versus indie or something.
Yeah, exactly, because we've had trouble with the other end of this, which is the, you know, the mega indie or the underground game, as I often call them, or computer worlds. Some of us have come up with names for, which feel different, and not necessarily in terms of like budget or teams. I think some of the games that are made with bigger budgets and bigger team sizes, either it's like a chicken and egg thing. Either the team size necessitates the type of game you have to make to try and make your money back, or if you want to make that type of game, you need a bigger team. But like, I feel like more the like computer worlds underground stuff that we tend to cover on Noclip 2 is more about like artistic vision, like making games outside of the boundaries from a creative perspective, not from a, you know, because everyone's just trying to get money from anywhere. Like, what does indie mean anymore is totally, like, some of these games don't have a publisher, sure, but they got a chunk of money from Nexon, or they got, you know what I mean? Like, how indie, you know, what the fuck does that matter anymore? It was a, you know, and the funding aspect was never one-to-one with what reason people were calling stuff indie. You know what I mean? Like, Supergiant Games is an indie studio. That is 100% true. They publish their own games. They're also like have been massively successful now for a decade. So like, you know, they're not like, you know, the people making, I don't know, fucking, you know, Bryce Boor or whatever. You know what I mean? Like they're on different. They're as different to each other as Supergiant is from like Activision. You know what I mean? Like they're on totally different things. I think I don't like the triple I name, because to me it's like, and I know I'm talking about, you know, saying these underground games and stuff, but triple I to me is like kind of exclusionary in like a looking down its nose kind of way. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, we're triple I. We're not just indie. You know what I mean? We're not. And weirdly enough, I do find games that get in this to be kind of less interesting and more status quo as a result. Like, there's some stuff in here that I really like you mentioned Karn, Dead as Disco. I actually played a little bit of that, the demo stuff. That was interesting. Maybe I'll talk about it a bit more next week. You know, Long Gone is a game that I've been following for a long time now, and, you know, wanted to see more of that. But like games like Windrose, for instance, or Valor Mortis, they're like big studios making those games. You know, not massive studios, but like Valor Mortis is like a, you know, pretty big. It's kind of a game that's attempting to, I guess that's why it's triple I guess that's what it is. It is a triple A game that's made by an indie studio. Windrose, which I talked about on I think on one of our indie rec videos a while ago, the sort of pirate, crafting game, again, feels like it's a bigger thing. So I don't know, but yeah, I'm not massive about the name, but then I feel for them, because we had the same fucking problem with Computer Worlds. So
no, it's weird too, because it's like triple I. You're like, okay, I kind of see where they're coming from, and then you think about it for a second, and you're like, oh, but it's like, if you're like, oh, we're like indie, but like big indie, but it's like the appeal of indie is that it is indie. So it's kind of like if you were touring the world and selling out stadiums, but you're like, we're the world's biggest garage band. It's like, what the fuck does it even mean at that point?
We're so punk.
Yeah,
we're a punk band selling at stadiums.
Yeah, we're playing at Gillette Stadium next weekend. Our like little DIY punk band.
Yeah, it has that vibe.
It's a weird. It has a weird tension, but yeah, like you said, it's just I don't have a better label for it, and Supergiant, like you said, is weird too, because the scale of their team and like maybe even the budgets or whatever. I'd be curious to sort of do a comparative analysis of like a smaller studio like Team Silent for Silent Hill 1 versus like I feel like Hades 2 probably had a bigger team and budget than Silent Hill 1, but it's like Silent Hill 1 is seen as this, you know, sort of like AAA game, but it was just there was different scales of economy.
It's like 50 people.
Yeah.
who made Oblivion.
It's so strange.
Supergiant's like 35 maybe now, something like that.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, so, but, different eras, different tools. Obviously, we're not, one has the backing of a bigger company to a certain extent. I think AAA, it invites that type of analysis anyway, just by virtue of the fact that it's called AAA. So it is on purpose being a sort of a disruptive name in this space. So I think that's good. Frenzied man beast, dear emailer. I think it's okay to look sort of side-eyed at that stuff, and I almost think that's kind of what they're going for to a certain extent by calling it AAA. Like it's an intentional fucking with what you think of what these games are. But I will say I feel like games like Windrose and the bigger sort of games feel a little bit more at home at that showcase, or like a Brotato DLC. They feel a bit more at home there than games like Long Gone or I'm trying to pick another one that feels small, like Karn even, or Prove You're Human. I don't know. Those games feel like they're closer to our neck of the woods.
It does feel a little strange as well. Like Computer Worlds felt like it had sort of. We didn't curate the list for Computer Worlds, so this is not me just like blowing smoke up our own asses. We just kind of like helped host it. But there felt like there was a certain sort of. Not like an ideological cohesion, but a sort of like creative ethos underlying the whole thing. Yeah. I feel like there's I don't know. There were like Graveyard Keeper 2 with like the AI generative fucking key art bullshit to me being in the same showcase as like Sunset Visitor's new thing. Felt very weird to me. It felt like this is no shade towards the show as a whole. I think, putting together a list of games to promote is like an admirable thing, and curation is a necessary thing in indie games. But, it's curation takes on a weird sort of meaning when it's mixing together something that I think is like some of the best art in games and sort of, something that I think is kind of like, I don't know. I've not played Graveyard Keeper. I just, I immediately clocked the key art as AI and then looked into it, and people were like, yeah, this is the guy who like loves generative AI.
And I think you also get that. This happens at the Keeleys too, where like when you're running a show that's making money, like I'm sure I don't know how this AAA thing is run necessarily, but I'm guessing there is some pay to play stuff happening here and maybe some free slots for super indie stuff. Maybe that's where that tension comes from, is that like some of these games are from single people who haven't released a game yet, and they're getting in on the free side, and then you've got ones that are paying because they're able to pay. I honestly don't know, but that's how you end up with a list of games that doesn't feel cohesive, because you're putting one in for one reason and another in for another reason. That's kind of why these showcases sometimes feel that way and make people feel confusing. Whereas obviously Gil was putting together Computer Worlds, that cohesion and that central vision was the point, and obviously they had a bit of budget thrown in to pay for, to pay the artists and to pay the musicians and stuff like that. All the video work we did was pro bono. Like everyone got, and the crew got paid for doing the work, but like I didn't pay myself, and we didn't take money from them to do it. You know what I mean? Like it came from that place. So so it's a different type of sort of pressure on the person running the show. With Gil, he can just pick the games that feel like they're part of the vision, and I think that's why Computer Worlds was kind of cool. But yeah, I have to check out AAA, but yeah, it is definitely an interesting. Naming shit's hard, man, especially when you're trying to name genres of stuff or categories. It's real difficult. Frank, you want to get this last email from Havatar?
Yeah, Havatar has a question. Hey, gang, this one's a two-parter. First, what is the documentary that you wish you could make, but for whatever reason, such as key people are no longer alive or refuse interviews, which documentary is impossible to make? And then second, is there a documentary you're itching to make, but you can't yet, such as the game's not out yet or hasn't been made yet, but you know it'll be a fascinating subject?
Game's not out yet, hasn't been made yet. Half-Life 3. That's what I'd like to do. Somebody release Half-Life 3. Make another game. We've run out of documentaries to do with Valve, and I'm itching to go back up. I guess we could go back. We could pitch them some other stuff like Team Fortress. Although, yeah, I'm trying to think of it. We can't do a Portal one because Jet Falsec won't talk to me. But yeah, I'd like to. Yeah, I mean that would be cool. That'd be a cool video game. I just want like video game to fucking exist so I can play it. Half-Life Alyx, actually. That would be
a cool one, actually.
That'd be a cool one. Yeah. Yeah. What do you got? What do you folks got?
Earthbound, but Satoru Iwata would be kind of a necessary missing piece of the puzzle. Although I think you could make that documentary and do like a nice tribute. But yeah, in terms of games that aren't out yet, I mean, it's too soon to talk about doing another Disco Elysium successor documentary, but like, holy fuck, I would love to just like go in bed with Kurvitz and Rostov and Helen and stuff and just kind of like see what they're doing, hang out.
That'd be dope. I did that for a little bit. Didn't see anything they're working on. Either means they haven't done much, or they're keeping it behind closed doors. Yeah, you should totally do that. No Caps, what would you do?
I would like to see a Stray documentary. Like I know that I feel like the studio is so like secretive, like, but I just love that game. I was replaying it recently. Yeah, you haven't played it?
No, I played.
It's like actually so good.
I think I played like I have it in my library. I think I played like the first hour and I stopped playing maybe the first 30 minutes and I wasn't in the mood. I've completed all of Little Kitty Big City with my daughter. So I need to play this. I think, people really
like once you get to like the first like little city hub and then you can like go on all the roofs and everything and it's like kind of a bigger area and like find little secret notes and stuff. It's really cute.
Yeah, I have 0.3 hours on record.
Yeah,
so I basically was just playing the tutorial and then I noped out for some reason. Okay, yeah, I got to do that. Okay, Stray.
And then you'll want to make a documentary on it, probably.
There you go. Exactly. Well, I think the biggest one is always Rockstar. It's just like, it'd be cool to talk to those folks about the games that they've made and how they made them, because they've made some of the best games ever. And it would also be cool to, dive into the crazy work culture at that studio. I've just heard so many stories over the years about how competitive it is and how much of a boys club it was for a very long period of time. And sort of like, there's probably a really interesting conversation to be had there about the types of games you make, the types of developers you make, the not the good and bad and not the like, oh, it's competitive and that made us make the best games, but like the sort of perception of that. And, I bet there's a lot of like weird tension and, hypocrisy and, but also some interesting truths that come out of that whole thing, because whenever I talk to somebody who worked at Rockstar, it's always this like very complicated reaction where they're like, oh yeah, this part's awful and that's awful, but like also I work with the smartest people, like everyone on the team is amazing at what they do, and yeah, we're like competitive and like it's like 25% negative competitive but 75% positive competitive, it's like, so it's a complicated place, I think, for a lot of people, and yeah, obviously they've made so many great games. So, and somehow a second No Caps has appeared in the chat for me.
George Bush meme whispering to Danny, a second No Caps has hit the podcast.
I don't know what happened.
This is great. No one else will see this. Frank, this happened for you too?
Yeah, I see. Now it disappeared the second.
Oh my God. The original No Caps has died.
This
is just like the conversation we were having. I know.
It booted me out.
It did. Which one of you? Did you kill your past self? Did you just do a looper?
We'll never know.
Oh my God, that's terrifying.
Because then you're going to kill half of me, and then I don't want that to happen. I want to take over. There's going to be like 10 of me all around.
I'm going to just get flooded with No Capses in here. That is terrifying. Wow, okay. I guess we just have to continue our lives like this never happened. This is the moment. This was the fracturing of the universe that we all saw in real time, where we're just going to keep moving on. Any other ones? Frank, you got any ones for this?
Yeah, I mean like I don't know where those people are or what, but like the team that made all the N64 wrestling games, like they went from WCW and then doing the WWF games at the same time. They were making games for Japan's audience, so they would make like the core game and then just palette swap here's all the Japanese wrestlers. Here's virtual pro wrestling. Here's WCW. Oh, WWF hired us. All right, we've reskinned the game a fourth time. Here's all that. Like it's so like again, like I've talked about like doing like a man on the street documentary about wrestling games, whatever, that'd be cool. But like literally being able to talk to like the Japanese team who made all these wrestling games would be insane. But it seems so ethereal. But then contemporary, I'm obsessed with Capcom. Like I even like, that's why I even like Pragmata. I'm like, oh my God, like that's now the thing I would love to make. But yeah, those are the two things that come up. And then like, it would be so cool that like having an actual comprehensive like Metal Gear documentary, but Kojima split with Konami is so messy. But like even just talking to everyone who just trying to like capture that lightning in the bottle of like Metal Gear Solid 1, like just that team and going from 3D graphics, all that stuff would be cool. But those are kind of the three like hot topics for me.
You just made me remember my dream documentary has nothing to do with video games. I want to interview Hideo Kojima, but I only want to talk about the golden age of Japanese cinema. I don't want to ask him not a single question about video games, not ones he's made or that influenced him or anything. I just want to talk about like Kurosawa and Mizoguchi and Ozu and just fucking pick his brain about Tokyo Twilight.
I bet we could make that happen. I bet
like
you could pitch that.
I feel like he would be delighted because he fucking loves movies.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, oh, it's like video games. And he's like, just wants to fucking, like, you watch his Criterion Closet, that's the happiest I've ever seen him.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, I like that. It's a real outsider. Got to shoot you over to Japan.
I'd go any day.
Yeah, that'd be good times. Okay. All right, some good answers there. I'm trying to think of any more, because Rockstar's the answer I've given 1,001 times, and it's super obvious. And obviously, people know I'd love to do any fucking Valve-related documentaries. Weirdly, I would have said Arc Raiders had we not been paid to make that series, because I played fucking 300 hours of that game. I'd love to do the Seance of Blake Manor. I'd love to do that. I'd love to do one in my home country, and you know, we've never done a doc in Ireland except for that John Romero interview I did years ago. And that's such a special game. I would definitely like to do one on that.
That's a good answer.
All right.
Frank, we need to practice our Japanese so we can be the Japanese wing of Noclip. We can wait, hold on. I feel like I can. This is what I opened my Kojima interview by saying, "Furui Nihon no eiga ga suki desu," which I think means I love old Japanese movies.
Beautiful.
I might have fucked that up.
That is very impressive. I'm like, Jesus Christ, I can't even do that in Irish.
I think I might have fucked up the. Well, no, I think I got it close enough.
Yeah, as long as you don't have to be like grammatically perfect.
If you're a little grammatically off, it's charming. They're like, this dumb American. He's trying so hard, he can't even ga suki desu, you know? Love
it. That's great shit. Holy, well, Frank was nodding, so he was at least understanding you, and that's That's going through multiple translation metrics. So there you go. Amazing. We got to make it happen, folks. We got to make it happen, and you can help us make that happen. Becoming a patron over at patreon.com/noclip or patreon.com/noclip2. We're going to have some news on some Patreon mashups, mix-ups, new stuff coming, new tiers, sort of creating interesting combinations, and there's some new Patreon stuff coming down the pipe that I've gotten access to as well, which is going to help us to do some cool, maybe cross-posting on some stuff. And yeah, we've had some sort of band-aids on the rewards and whatnot on both for the past couple of months, and I think we figured out what people want more of, and we want to give it to you. But we definitely need more patrons to do it as well. So patreon.com/noclip, and especially over on patreon.com/noclip2. Speaking of which, and speaking of Japan, Frank posted his Japanese arcade racing game adventure. Go check it out. The algorithm has found it because people will not stop watching it. And it's shooting for the moon now. So go check that one out over on Noclip 2. Early access patrons can already watch the third episode in our Everbloom series about how games are made. This one's all about how characters are made, character design. And we dive into loads of aspects of character design, from concept art to hiring artists to do it, from doing lighting and cameras and all this sort of stuff. And I think in the era of generative AI, when it comes to this sort of stuff, it's very cool to watch a video about just how much human craft is required to do something as simple as making a character that you're largely going to be looking at the back of its head for most of the game. Also going to upload Meligarasha episode 3. We have 2 already recorded, so we're going to get those 2 up in the next couple of weeks. Jesse, as you know, is going to be out of the office, let's say, for the next month or so at least, as he takes care of baby Teddy and his partner as well. Also, as a little bonus, I just thought everyone was asking for more Alexander Rostov. So I went, fuck it. And I cut together an hour and 45-minute long cut of his interview with me in Estonia. There's some stuff trimmed out of it, mostly just coffee break. Well, tea. He was drinking tea and bathroom breaks. The rest of it's in there, including him tricking his dog into doing some tricks for us. So it's good shit. Go check that out. He's got a corgi, like a beautiful dog. Unbelievable. So go check that out. If you're a Noclip patron, you can check that out as well. So loads of cool stuff coming from our very small team. All right, that was the podcast this week. Thank you so much. We'll be back next week with more stuff. We're going to have to figure that out, Frank, because we're filming in Los Angeles next week. So we're going to have to figure out how we're going to pull that one together. But in the meantime, thanks for listening. And here is the interview with myself and Chandana Ekanayake from Outerloop Games talking about Dosa Divas. Hello, folks. Danny here. Delighted to be joined by Chandana Ekanayake. Eka, how are you doing, my friend?
It's a good morning, Danny. How are you?
Good morning. It is. I did schedule this quite early, but I'm excited to chat. We talked a number of years ago about Outerloop Games. We talked about Falcon Age back then. Obviously, since then, y'all have put out Thirsty Suitors back in 2023, and
yes.
Now we're here to talk about Dosa Divas, which comes out. It should be out by the time this podcast is out. You can go pick it up on what platforms, Eka?
Oh, man. Steam, Switch 2, PlayStation 5, Xbox S and X.
Wow. How big's your team that you're putting the game out on?
And Windows PC.
Is it coming out on the Tapwave Zodiac?
Ooh, that'd be sweet. Is that a thing?
It was back in the day. That's my go-to obscure console.
Is N-Gage not obscure enough?
No, and okay. I mean N-Gage is obscure, but then there's also the what was the really obscure handheld that had sticky balls on it? What was that thing called again?
All I know was the Atari Lynx was pretty rad.
Oh yeah, I mean it's up there with one of the best named consoles as well.
Are they going to bring the PSP back? Because I want a PSP. I thought that when I saw that at E3, I was like, this is the most amazing looking device I've ever seen.
It was the first launch day console I think I ever got, and it was incredibly expensive.
So expensive. And the media was so expensive. Yeah.
Ridiculous. Yeah, how big's the team at the moment?
Yeah, we're at height of it we're 14, and now we're 7.5. The half being my son, who's been doing QA for us for a while.
Is he getting some allowance money for that, or?
No, he's getting paid better than he was at Marshall's, what he was doing, and he didn't like that. But he got really good at breaking the game, and we had him play tests a year ago, and they're like, the team said, hey, he's really good at breaking this. Can we get him to do it more? So
very cool.
I'm doing it, yeah.
Excellent.
Nice Shout out to Aiden.
Shout out. Well done, Aiden. adding to the game, adding to the project. Let's talk about the project. Let's talk about Dosa Divas. I've really enjoyed playing this. I think from a technical perspective, you can see how your team has sort of evolved with each game. The animation, the art direction, all that sort of stuff looks great. But mechanically, it's such a tight experience. Like it's one of these games that feels very Moorish, like a good meal, I guess, where you're like, okay, it's giving me mechanical reasons to push forward. It's giving me narrative skin in the game very early. What was the original, I guess, concept for this, especially coming off Thirsty Suitors, which this, shares some sort of DNA with, or at least you can see the progression from for your studio from that to this game?
Yeah, I mean, we shipped Thirsty in November 23, and we started on this January 24. So 2 years and 2 months, I guess.
Wow.
Till we hit cert, and we've been patching. So like 2 years and 4 months till release, I guess. So, which is pretty fast for us. Thirsty was like 3.5, I think, start to finish. But for Dosa, after we shipped Thirsty, we took some time off and kind of looked at all the reviews. I read everything, so I can't help it. Makes me stronger. No, but I really took a lot of the feedback and criticism. I think the stuff that worked really well was narrative and the sort of the set piece battles. Battle system needed more player expression. That's been a goal of ours with Dosa in every aspect from, the cooking system has a little more expressiveness in terms of how you construct a meal, because you have different orders from villagers and you pick up ingredients and you can kind of mix and match. And some folks want a spicier version, some folks want a savory or sweet version. And for the battle system, there's a lot of feedback on like, it feels like too much QTEs and you can only do one thing at a time. And
right.
And we wanted to expand on that. So this being more of a squad based, you have the two sisters, Sam and Imani, plus Goddess, your spirit mech, against, one or many foes. When in Thirsty was just like one single person Jala. So being a squad, we also wanted to have more flexibility with each of the characters. And the combat system, if you're fans of Mario RPG, Thousand Year Door, Bravely Default, Octopath, Sea of Stars, a lot of the great ones, we're definitely taking some inspiration from those, from boost systems to shield breaks and timing attacks on attacks and on defense. So there's a lot going on, but it feels a little tighter. Like our goal was try to make it tighter, more player expressive, and the big thing was trying to make sure the theme of cooking and flavors was throughout the battles, the exploration, and of course the cooking part of it as well. So
yeah, it's cool. It's fun how sort of everything comes back to making dosas. Like the items you're collecting in the world, the quests themselves are often, like you said, about feeding the village and sort of getting your reputation up with them, and then all the way down to the battles where the enemies have weaknesses to certain flavors or sweetness or spiciness, and all the way down to like the actual hitting them, throwing a plate or hitting them with a spatula or, it's like.
We called it spat chucks and then walk around.
Right. Yeah. I was going to ask, but it sounds like, as you said, this was an essential part of the identity of the game, was to sort of have that stuff, resonate or be in the DNA of all of the systems.
Yeah. I mean, for us, it's always trying to make sure the theme narrative and mechanics really go. By the time the players play it, I hope it's like, oh, this is the only way it could be put together. And that just takes time. It just takes time and iteration where that all feels like, oh, okay, so the flavor system or the icons or the stuff you cook for people, you can also use for healing or buffs or removing debuffs in battle. That's just, I could say like, oh, we had it all figured out from the beginning, but it's just like, once we get it in, then just like, is there better ways to make this come together? That's why it takes, I don't know, 2 years to make something like this. Yeah.
I've never eaten a dosa before. Mm-hmm. How good are they?
Dosa Corner in SF.
Oh, really?
Really good. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where do you know where in town it is?
I'll send you the thing. I have it. And we were there with the Vemba team, I think two GDCs ago. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So here's the problem. I'm going to go in and I'm going to start ordering some weird ass doses that are from this game. You know what I mean? Like get me some banana and, coconut oil and, what's the sort of go-to? Did you eat these much growing up or like,
the cool thing about dosas, so it's originated, there's a whole history to it, but I think it's in South India. But there's a version in Sri Lanka and there's a version in Malaysia. So there's like, it's made out of rice and fermented lentils, and I think the fermentation came from Malaysia thousands of years ago. So there's like, this is why we make games about food, because the whole like, the first time you like experience a culture usually is through eating something, and and then the history of food is just fascinating because it's how people migrated from continent to continent, country to country, and there's a lot of shared flavors and history between places that you wouldn't expect, and that's what's like super interesting to me. But so I didn't eat a lot of we ate like Sri Lankan styles of these, which are a little thicker, but the classic sort of really thin, crispy dosa, I didn't have till I moved to the States, actually. So,
that's the go-to. Dosa, I feel this is the new frontier in taste in America. It's like, this is, in 5 years from now, it's going to be like boba. You know what I mean? Like 5 years from now, it's going to be a dosa spot on every corner.
Yeah, because most of when you say like, I want Indian food in the U.S., it's mostly northern India.
Right.
And dosa, you'd have to find a South Indian joint. Some places do both, but there's a lot in the Seattle area. There's a lot of Indians that work at various places here, and like the other day I was driving by a park because the sun is out. When it gets 60 degrees in Seattle, it's summertime, and people are playing cricket, like full on kids, everything. Yeah,
you love to see it. Very cool.
Sorry, your question about dosa, Mysore dosa, Mysore masala dosa. Like, that's a good one to start with. But
all right, making note. It's on my list of things to do in 2025. I've made enough of them in the game. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I gotta have one made for me eventually.
You should.
Speaking of the game's themes, I guess you're sort of sticking the studs in. With regard to a lot of stuff. Anti-capitalism comes up a lot. Beating up lawyers is very funny. The various forms of lawyers, I was a big fan of as well. Yeah. But also like reconciliation, family, kind of aging and relationships with siblings and stuff like that. Yeah. Obviously, Thirsty Suitors also dove into a bunch of really interesting stuff. But tell us about, I guess, the thoughts that went into the story that are here, and how important it is a story in a game like this to sort of drive the player forward, to motivate them.
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, the narrative story aspects have been always a draw, from Falcon Age to Thirsty to this to Dosa. And I think when we did Thirsty, it was really fun to kind of explore, like, I don't know, high stakes for us is like, reconciling or argument with your parents or your grandma in this case. So I think it's just like building a game about these sisters and their mech and fighting other mechs and people they know. And I think it's just like having a personal history there adds a layer of, I don't know, suspense or drama that we find interesting to talk about. It's also probably just us kind of going through some of our own explorations of family dynamics. Not that it's all like personal stories in the game, but it's like kind of exploring that through the craft. Because it's like, we have a lot of immigrants on the team, but from different places, but there's a lot of sort of shared stories about family and family dynamics, and that I feel like it's a more universal thing that we can explore, and it's fun to explore. But yeah, so it's in Dosa, like Thirsty, we feel like that was some of the better things that we did as a team, and I think it's kind of becoming an identity for us. Not that we intentionally do it, but it's just like, it's fun to explore. With Dosa, main writer on this, his name's Hassan Durant, who's a fantastic, did a great job getting it all together. For us, it's like, usually, even though we do make narrative games, we start with mechanics and figure out like, what is the player doing? Because it's having done some years ago, like IP movie games where you're like, here is the movie, make a game around it. It's so hard to make a game interesting when you have like a fixed script.
Right.
because that's just not how games work. Because you have the player is a factor. The player can decide to do things and want to do things, and so we always kind of start with mechanics. We have a rough idea of a story, but we don't really write till fairly late into the process. Of course, there's temp writing and pacing and figuring that out, but the mechanics has to work and the systems have to work, and really the narrative is the thing that will keep the player, because there's a lot of repeat button presses and actions as you play a game, and like what's the interest and what's going to keep me playing for an hour, half an hour, 15 minutes, the moment to moment things. And by the way, the game isn't long. It's like 12 to 15 hours.
I mean, that's long.
That's long,
that's
but
a long
it's not
game.
100 hours. So
I feel like most of the games I play this year around these days are like short of 10. So like that feels real good. That's, you know, that's Half-Life 2. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's a long enough game.
yeah, we don't want all your time. We're not a forever game. We just want a little bit of your time, and hopefully you come away with something interesting. Yeah.
Well, one of the things that I appreciated about the story stuff, because I talk about this a lot on the podcast about how there are people who are very into like narrative games and want to sit down and be told a story, and I am so impatient. Like I just want to like let me play the game, right? And one of the things I really appreciate about Dosa Divas was the fact that the story was given sort of in these little bite-sized chunks during like exiting a battle encounter, or like, you know, talking to somebody, you know, great voice acting and stuff as well, you know, just like, but sort of piece by piece. It wasn't like sit down and watch a cutscene for 30 seconds. JRPG stuff.
No, I get really bored playing any kind of story games if I'm sitting here watching a cutscene. I say that, but then I'll play Yakuza.
Yeah, but, you know what? That's maybe my one exception as well.
Because it's so well done.
It's so well done. Yeah, I trust the direction and the writing in those games. Like I'll watch.
Most games are not that. So
yes, correct.
It doesn't keep my attention. So for us, when we make games, we're like, you know, like in this game, we get you into the game as quickly as possible. So you're running around the mech, doing cooking while you get the story bits in between. That's just like, I can't focus too long.
And to that point, like it is a game, we've talked about a couple of these things now, right? We've sort of come around to it where, you know, in the battles, for instance, you're constantly thinking about counters, you're moving on menus, you know, in the overworld, you're looking for things to pick up. You're always doing something. Like the moment to moment, the game feels very snappy. Like you're going here, you're doing this. It feels very Moorish in that respect. I want to ask about the animation for a second, because it's something that kept coming up for me. Was like from everything from like the Naruto running mech to the when he jumps and does the little sort of like trying to fly chicken thing to like the battles especially. I spend one fight just looking at the sisters in the mech and just
so good.
They're constantly moving, undulating. Each of the attacks from like the enemies and you have these like great physical sort of aspects to them. Tell me a bit about your animation team and the work that was done on this, because it feels so alive. And I think so much of about the pace of it and the moment to moment enjoyment, I kept coming back to this. You know, the art style is slick, but like the way this game moves is very pleasing. Yeah,
and our animation team of one, Azo, our animator, my co-founder and animator, who was also the only animator on Thirsty and
right.
Age. So when we started the studio, it was like myself, Azo, and our other co-founder Justin, who's our lead programmer. The goal was like, hey, the three of us have most of the skills to make a shitty game if we had to. So do you want to work together? And we had worked together prior. I think with Azo and I, it goes back 20 years.
Okay.
Hired him out our art school in Laguna Beach when we were working on Matrix Path of Neo.
Oh, hell yeah.
We had this animation test. And it usually, when we gave it out at that time, it was like, I don't know, take the weekend. And he just did it in 24 hours and came in. And then he's like, he is the most phenomenal animator and the most quiet person I know. If you look him up on YouTube, he also does parkour,
oh wow,
martial arts, does juggling, does skateboarding. He's a great climber. He does all this other stuff. And we were doing the Matrix game. He was just nonchalantly, oh yeah, I wall run. And we're like, and we all laughed because we thought he was joking. He's like, no. And you see his videos. I'm like, okay, yeah. All the stuff he animates, he tries to recreate in real life. He does all hand keying. So it's not like he videotapes himself.
Right.
And then tries to use as reference. He just knows the movement. So for
just feels it in his bones, man.
He like, that is he does so much narrative and storytelling with his animation work. I just expect that we're going to just integrate that. Whatever it's going to be wild. We'll figure it out. There are times where, like the first time we had we knew we weren't going to have the mech hover or anything. It was like, when you define a mech game, like what does it feel like? We're like, we knew we wanted to double jump, and it was more of a platformer than anything else. So the first time we did when you double jump in the game, it does like a chicken flap to let you know that it can't fly. That was really the only intention. But the first time we did it, it was like a leg kick, and it felt like an attack.
Yes.
So he took that, and we kept that. We brought it back in when we interact with the world, because you can kick and destroy certain propaganda posters from the Lena character, who's the main antagonist. So yeah, he just comes up with stuff, and once we figure out the battle system, there's a lot of readability things in this game we had to do because you had to sort of block at certain times. There's a window, so there's a little more nitty gritty in terms of like timing and showing the move and faking. And as you probably noticed, some of the lawyers will fake you out to like, hey, look up there, and they hit you with something.
I love that so much because it's also like a great piece of storytelling of like lawyers are tricky like that. You know what I mean? Like the fact that they like kind of mess with the timing, I thought was like, it's just a great little piece of like, it adds to the narrative as well in its own. It gives character to what are otherwise like mobs, you know what I mean, that you're going up to fight. I thought that was super cool.
And then one, it's like sleazy, it just kind of slithers like a snake.
Yes.
And then you end up fighting security guards / mall cops, and they're on segways. We referenced Paul Blart. Was that the name of the movie? Paul Blart.
Paul Blart Mall Cop. Yeah.
And then you have Tech Bros, and so each town has their own flavor of shitty villains. Corpos. And all animation. So Azo does it's all him. There are times where we're like trying to make sure it works with the design and stuff, but most times I'm like, we plan out sort of the boss battles together and figure out. And he's like, I'll fill it in, and it's always amazing. It's always a treat for us when he puts a new character in. And a lot of this also, for the design of the characters, Vijay, who's our concept artist, art director, he's fantastic. He did all the designs for Thirsty and all the designs for this game too. So like coming up with the look of the mechs, the characters, and then Emma, who does our character model, brings it to life. Then Azo will take that and of course make a move in really interesting ways.
Yeah, and I also noticed would it be the direction, but like how the camera is sort of integrated into the storytelling, like, Dutch tilts and the way that like characters sort of play to the lens sometimes, that sort of stuff. Who's responsible for that? I mean, I feel like Thirsty had this aspect as well of like, in some ways you feel like you're watching a TV show, or you're watching something playing out in front of you. It doesn't feel like just like a camera Porsche. The game is looking back at you sometimes. You know what I mean? It's very engaging.
I do all our trailers and also do our camera work, so that's like always very important to me of how we frame things. So I spent a lot of time doing that, and then that went into Aza doing some of it for a lot of the sort of the action moves for the characters. And then we have another designer, producer, writer, Sunny. She also took over some of those duties. So for the level flow and camera transitions and all that stuff, I do a lot of sort of initial pass, and then we go back and then a small team, so we all kind of between 3 or 4 of us, we do passes on things.
Yeah. This is also published by Outersloth. Is that
Yeah, I mean, they're not a publisher; they're a fund.
okay?
So
Fund. Yeah, sorry.
yeah.
Yes.
So they paid the bills, which were an amazing team to work with. We self-publish it, and we
Yes.
get help of folks like Pop Agenda, who helped with like a bunch of things for for publishing duties for when you're working on consoles to outreach to folks. And
I
marketing
suspect very handy when you're simultaneously launching across a bunch of platforms as well. How was it working with Outersloth and that whole process?
So we've probably talked about this. I usually, like, for new projects, I have like multiple ideas always, and we go on the road. And I saw you at DICE, which is a show in February. So I kind of think about as before we finish a project, I'm going to pitch new ones to see. Mostly, like, I'm not sure what to work with because we have so many ideas that we're like, I don't know, we want to make all three, we can't. So let's see what other people think. So February 23, I went on the road with 3 ideas, and one of them was Dosa Divas. Talked to a bunch of folks just to get feedback. They tell you never to pitch more than one thing, but it's always worked for me. So I go and like, hey, I'm not looking to like funding right now. I'm just like, here's some ideas of things we're thinking about. What do you think? And Victoria from Outersloth, I showed her. She's just a phenomenal human being, and I love her takes on games because she sees a lot of things, and I talked to her about it. Sorry, Innersloth, before Outersloth. And she said, "Oh, you should meet Forrest. We're thinking about doing this thing." And Forrest happened to live 15 minutes from me in East Side Seattle, because the Innersloth, the original 3, they're all from. They're not from here, but they live in nearby in Seattle area. So pitched them, and we're talking to a bunch of people. They're like, "Yeah, I think we like this. We should work together." And it was a really easy process. They published the contract, which is the simplest contract I've ever seen or signed. We're all in a Slack together with all the other sort of Outersloth teams, and we chat and share trailers and give feedback to each other, and then we send a milestone kind of once in a while to show them what we're doing. But they're hands off, and they're like, "What can we help with?" And you're responsible for your game. It's your game. We'll pay the bills. Just figure out what you do with it. So.
Yeah, was there many like milestone meetings, that type of stuff?
No, we have a monthly cadence anyway.
Right.
So we do all our design and progress on Mira, which is like a shared whiteboard because we're all remote. That's been a really useful thing. So all our design stuff, everything is on a Mira board. And we plan internally, okay, what are we going to try to do this month? Knowing how many months we have and roughly timeline for like, okay, we want to do a demo here, or first playable or next fest, whatever. And then in between that, we just do monthly boards, and we just share those boards with the Outersloth team. So
very cool.
Pretty easy.
Keep it simple. Focus on the work.
Yeah.
Focus on the game. Yeah. What was the process of like with the demo? Because you guys put that out. Was it during Next Fest this past spring or late winter?
We had a first version of it last Summer Game Fest. So we were part of Summer Game Fest with Day of the Devs. So we built it for that. For us, it's been building the demo usually is our internal goal anyway, mostly because for every project, for us to like figure out the timeline and how much time it's going to take, that demo is we call it vertical slice, but it's vertical slice is usually a throwaway work. This is like, no, we're intending to build this as part of the game, and usually the beginning of the game we like. So the demo is the first hour and a half, which is out on Steam, and if you play it, if you don't know if you want the game, play the demo, and the save game will carry over.
Love it.
Yeah, so for us, it was like building the demo was, okay, figuring out the mechanics. How does the mech run around? What does the cameras look like? What does the art look like? How do we do story? What's the battle system? So all that stuff was kind of put together for that initial demo. And because the mech is so big, we pulled the camera back, and we're like, that changed the art style. Now everything has to be chunkier, right? And more readable at that scale. So that's like, okay, that informed how we design the props and what we see the characters. In Thirsty, we got real tight shots on the character models, and here we end up using 2D. They're essentially portraits because we knew the models weren't going to be that detailed on purpose because of where the camera's going to be.
Right.
I mean, we could have made more detailed if we were like a triple A version. Then the budget would be also grow. So we're also like, here's how much time we have. Here's how much money we have. Here's the game we want to make. Let's find creative solutions for that. So that demo really told us all about how long does it take to make a village? How long does it take to make a character?
Right.
There's a lot more level design, which is not something. Obviously, we knew we were going to have more space to run around because the levels are way bigger than a Thirsty was like the small corner of a town and interiors. And this is like, we're traversal and it's like a platformer. And the mech eventually gets different upgrades. And so you can come back and open up new areas and things like that. So that took a lot of iteration for these sort of vertical villages. I don't know how far you're in, but there's like 3 main villages and different ways to get around it. So yeah, the demo informs a lot of how long do we want to spend on a space, how many characters, how many ingredients in the world you pick up, how many, it's a food truck mech. So the first village has dosas, the second village has like hand-held kind of foods, and the third village has bowl types, and then people want different versions of it, and all using this cooking system. So it's that demo is very important for us in terms of figuring out scope and scale of a thing.
That's cool. Yeah, I didn't realize it would be so instrumental in your sort of pathway for the main game.
Yeah.
My last question is, it often is one of the later questions, but this entire time we've been talking, I've been hearing the battle music playing in the back of my head. Music for a lot of games is something that is somewhat connected to tone, or is attempting to augment or add a different sort of flavor to the feel of it. Obviously, with a game like this, you have to be like, you can't just, to get the correct cultural, sound must be particularly tricky. Where did you get your music from? I guess is what I'm asking.
Ramsey is our composer. He I originally heard his stuff on Boyfriend Dungeon.
Okay,
he did all of Thirsty and did all of Dosa. There's 37 tracks in the soundtrack. It's going to be out. Wow. It's out now by the time you hear this, but
yes.
Usually at the beginning of every project, music is such an important part of my process. Like, I'll make a playlist of like, so we're thinking about the game early. I'm like, I'm thinking about this music. I made just a giant playlist that I'll share with Ramsey. And but like everyone else on the team, I know he has like tendencies and things he likes, and that's always like, just bring whatever you want to bring, and that's with everybody on this project. That's like, I think, we know the direction for a game, but we also keep it loose enough so people can contribute the things they love, which I think is the reason you work on a small team, so you can kind of contribute something of your own to the project and have it show
add those flavors. Yeah.
And Ramsey, amazing composer, just a lot of variety of tracks too. The game starts bubbly, but we get into some hard stuff as we always do. There's gonna be laughter. There's gonna be some more drama, maybe some tears, hopefully. But yeah, he's amazing. Anne-Marie, who does our sound design, and sound design is such an important part of the whole
underappreciated form. Yeah, for sure.
And she did that for us on Thirsty as well, and she's amazing. The two of them together are just top notch, and I love working with them.
Very cool. Well, the game is available right now. Dosa Divas. You can go pick it up. Do you have an idea? Can you say prices? That sort of stuff?
Yeah. $19.99 USD, 10% off, I think, for 2 weeks on all the platforms. So it's, we wanted to make it hopefully, it's a great game, but also like affordable, because I know everyone has a lot of options these days. So,
yeah, it's wild. Yeah, it's so must be so tricky to try and figure out how much you're gonna charge for, I feel like I am, I go and like, rent movies or buy movies or do any other form of entertainment. And I'm like, man, we are spoiled over here as consumers
with
in the world
with
of
all
games.
the Steam sales and the free, demos and so many free
like
games.
order some food. Like go to McDonald's today and see how much you spend at Taco Bell. You know what I mean? Like stuff is not cheap ananymore. I filled up my gas tank yesterday.
Oh my God.
It was $118. I was like, okay.
Yeah, value. I always kind of try to think of it as like, if I was buying this, would I buy it? And that's a hard one because we're emotional creatures and we'll pay more than something's worth because it's exciting at the time. But
yes.
If you're like thinking about it for, $20 or not, I think, hopefully it's, affordable enough for, hopefully you heard good things. So far the feedback's been great for us. So we're happy with it.
Yeah, I enjoyed my time with it. In this podcast earlier, we'll have been talking about it. So it's
hope you liked it. I have to listen to this now.
Definitely. Yeah, connected with it, I think, on a level that on a higher level that I had with some of your previous games.
Yes.
To me, this felt like, and that's not a shade on anything you guys made before.
We agree with it. I think making the game with the same team over multiple games, we're like, okay, now we're like, I feel like we're kind of figuring it out better. Yeah,
that is one of the things that, from my layperson's perspective, I have noticed. It's the reason why Supergiant made Hades. It's know what I mean. Like 100. I can see it in our own team. You know what I mean. We don't have that side necessarily that level of cross. Collaboration on shorter projects, but like 100%, like the sort of the ease at which you can work together, the confidence that's built, like to explore different stuff, and to me this felt like a very tight in lots of different areas in a way that I was like, oh no, the moment in this game is holding on to me and doesn't want me to pull back. Like I feel like I'm happy to there were multiple reasons why I was like invested in it. From a story perspective, I wanted to see new weird enemies. The combat system was constantly engaging. I'm not a big JRPG combat person, but it was just so like boom, boom, boom. No, it's a very cool game. I wish you all the best with launch week. I hope it's going well at this time. We have avoided, it seems, for at least a couple of weeks, thermonuclear war. Yes. So you've
well, we'll see by the time this comes out.
Exactly. You might get a good 8 days of sales before before we're all dust. I'm trying to make like a Dosa reference. I'm like, no, it doesn't happen.
No, it's okay. We can both be happy about this game and also be sad about and angry about the things that are in the world at the same time.
Well, honestly, there is that sort of like, with Lena's company, there's that sort of like C-suite, like managerial psychosis, like sort of the dear leader thing. There's a lot of that with her understudies, which maybe that can be a source of.
I mean, we're definitely
relief,
inspired by a lot of things happening in the world, including games and outside of games for some of these characters.
Yes.
So,
right,
before I go, I want to just say shout out to Sadie, who did a lot of design work on the combat system, a bunch of things. Anna, who was a programmer on a bunch of things. Wadey, who did effects. She'll make sure I cover the whole team. Because it does take a team to do all this, and Alicia, who did all the environment work, was just amazing. So
very cool. Yeah, you've got a great team of folks around you for sure. You can tell, and you should be very proud of Dosa Divas. Available now on, I'm going to try it, PC, Switch 2, Xbox Series, let's just say S and X, PlayStation 5.
Yes, no more PS4 for us. So.
No more PS4. And hey, let's just throw Steam Deck in there.
Oh, Steam Deck verified.
There you go.
Go play it on there. It's an awesome experience.
Be weird if it wasn't, considering it's out on Switch 1 and 2.
Well, it's actually, we just got it verified recently, a couple days ago. It's mostly because of font size, right? So we had to it's a very specific font size. It has to be above 9 pixels for the screen, which it makes sense. My eyes are getting old, so I can't really see it. So.
Amen. Absolutely. Well, there you go. Thank you for fixing the font size so my geriatric pupils can can focus on them. Eka, always a pleasure. Take care and talk to you again soon.
Thank you, man. Take care.